Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2023 3-hour World Figure 8 Championships at the Indianapolis Speedrome. We are happy to have you with us as we have at least 40 competitors primed and ready to go for this event, 28 on the starting block and the rest in the alternate line as we get ready to go with a beautiful sunset off in the distance.
Beautiful.
And more importantly, some beautiful weather. There is the field ready to go, and there are the fans lined up in the grandstands for what is, Tommy, possibly the greatest racing event in the world.
The World Figure 8 Championship at the Indianapolis Speedrome. There is nothing like it, and I don't think there can be anything any more different than this race. This is an incredible short track event that is a pinnacle for these figure 8 racers, but more than that, it is the most extreme short track race in the world and likely one of the most extreme races in the world. This race is definitely one of the hardest to win and the easiest to lose, and these drivers all are on track, gonna try to master the race, get the $20,000 check, but more importantly, the mark in history.
Absolutely. The name on the trophy means so much to these drivers. In some cases, much more than the money. This event has history all throughout it. It's been running for so long here at the Indianapolis Speedrome. And of late, it really helps if you have the last name Tunny. The question is this another year for a Tunny, or is this a year for someone else to break through?
I think every year is a good chance for someone to break through. However, those Tunnies have the stronghold on this field. It's incredible the history that they've put on themselves, but we've seen the upsets. We've seen the turnarounds as far as a Tunny leading and knowing they have it in the bag, and then something goes wrong. This is a 3-hour endurance race, and any second, your race can change.
This is a track and an event that there is never anywhere to hide. It doesn't matter if you're up front, in the back, middle of the pack, there is nowhere to hide. Hell, you could be in the pit area and there's nowhere to hide. It is that type of racing event where anything goes, really. And it is just, it's an incredible watch. And we're so happy to have you all with us here. We're so happy and honored to be standing up here, bringing this event to you once again from the Indianapolis Speedrome. A massive shout out to everybody that makes this event happen, from the staff all the way to the top, to all the volunteers here at the track, everyone in the concessions, the security, everybody involved at this racetrack does a great job, not just today, not just this weekend, but all year long. And we see that throughout the year on Speedrome TV. Tommy, we saw some of the local classes earlier this weekend. Certainly, you could talk about those things for hours.
Yeah.
But just know, folks, this is a track that needs to be on your bucket list. You've got to make it out to Indianapolis Speedrome, and this is not a bad event to mark down as the one to go to. As far as this event goes, Mark Tunny, the 3T, was our pole sitter yesterday. A 16.7 is what he put down. He took that pole by nearly 0.2 of a second yesterday. We saw the second round of qualifying today. We've set our 28-car field, and there is your starting lineup going across the screen now. Storylines all throughout from qualifying, both on yesterday's session and today's session. Some big names that did not make it into the starting lineup for this event. It just goes to show how much the competition has ramped up once again.
Jeffrey, we look through this lineup and you see the names. A lot of them we've seen very many times. Most of them, they're all trying to determine, do they like their qualifying session or do they wish more? Some do, a lot of them don't. And that's going to be a fun way to see drivers like Artie Ware, Rod Proctor, Doug Riddle, Donnie Garrigus, the ones that are in the back, and so many others try to work forward in this race. That is your 14-row starting grid. We have alternates in the pit area, and they are biting their nails, waiting their turn to get onto this racetrack.
Now, here's what we hear about this event. The drivers say you have to survive the first 30 minutes. Sometimes, Tommy, it's the first turn that you have to survive. But survival is key if you're going to win this event. Not necessarily if you want to finish in the top 5. Drivers may be pulling off tonight, repairing their cars. Just because they go laps down does not mean they're out of contention for a good run, and that's why everyone keeps pushing it and trying to complete as many laps as they can. However, a little bit of nerves, Tommy, as we see 2 cars now parked near the track exit.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the cars kind of slowly driving by the officials. In fact, one of the officials came by one of our cameras that we set up as extra shots by the corner to almost pick it up like someone's complaining of debris out there. And
is that why you were like?
Yeah, the official quickly picked that up and realized. Well, no. Started to pick it up and realized, no,
we're not supposed to be. We're not supposed to be part of the story here.
Yeah.
We're supposed to just tell it.
But we have 2 cars being tended to the officials. Look like they're looking around somewhere.
That's Craig Van Wettering in the 49, and that is Steve Durham.
On the driver's side, what are we looking at here? Do you see? Is the flag somehow messed up in the cockpit area?
I don't know.
Let's see. We're looking at maybe a radio check, or I mean, these drivers don't have radios unless they have receivers.
Imagine this though. Like, we know every driver in this field's already having every ounce of nerves going through their body, and then you have an issue during the pace laps.
It looks like it's a one-way communication issue. You see, something probably got unplugged in the nerves of them trying to get everything situated.
I can't believe you tried to blame the American flag.
I didn't know. They were all right there. They just wanted to have some ounce of hearing.
Keys to success in this race. You have to stay on the lead lap. That's number 1.
You have to survive, and sometimes you have to really bite your teeth, hold your tongue in some major moments. At the other times, you have to go for it. Sometimes hitting the brakes can cause catastrophe. Sometimes going for it can knock you right out of the race. You want to be on track. You don't want to go lap down to what you're saying, but if you do, you are still in contention until the checkered flag flies.
Absolutely. They're going to collect those American flags right now as we get ever closer to the start of this event, the 2023 World Figure 8 Championships. 3 hours. The way this works, if you're new or even if you're not, it'll be 3 hours of racing. That includes green flag and yellow flag. If the red flag comes out, the clock will stop until we get back to green. This event will probably be more than 4 hours. But as far as the timed racing of it all goes, we will have the clock ticking down for 3. Other things, this is a hot pit lane event. Live pit stops. Fuel will be a conversation. Tires will be a conversation. Strategy is a big part of this race. When things start getting down to the wire as we close into that last hour, there's going to be a lot of conversation about who's pitting when, who's taking advantage of what red flags, what yellow flags. Sometimes the conversation going into this weekend is this going to be the year that we break the lap record? Your thoughts?
I say yes every year.
You do say yes every year.
And I'm going to say yes tonight. I think that
going out on a limb.
The speed and the competition, if we can have a lot of green flag runs, which I know in some years is rare and others it kind of needs to weed out issues out on track. I think if we can start with a green flag run and not have action and reds and all the calamity in the first 20 minutes, we could really get that lap counter rolling. But history shows it's been a long time since that lap record's been set.
The people that are hoping that we aren't aiming to beat that track record or the lap record tonight are the ones that are still in the pit area, the alternates, one of which may be one of the biggest storylines up to this point in the weekend. Doug Gregg not making it. A driver, Tommy, who doesn't just have a lot of laps here, the most laps completed by any driver in the 3 hour, he holds that record. And right now he's sitting in pit lane, getting ready to wait to get to start his event.
It is that nerve-wracking time. It is that exciting moment. before the 3-hour world champion.
Can you feel it?
Oh, yeah.
You folks at home, can you feel it? Indianapolis Speedrome. Want to thank you all, Tommy and I, Low Budget TV. So happy to have you all here. A shout out to our entire crew. We got people all over the track here, Tommy. We got Henry on the drone. We got Joe over in the corner. Somewhere out there, we got Wes.
Yeah, Wes is somewhere out there. We got Kurt up here in the booth.
We got Landon on leader cam.
Yeah.
And like we said, a shout out to all the great staff here at the Indianapolis Speedrome. We love being here. This is an absolute passion of ours. Ever since we started strongly covering figure 8 racing nearly 10 years ago now, it has been a wild ride. And we are about to have the wildest ride of the year for 3 hours. Now, is it me, or is this pace lap time taking longer than ever? Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, we're already starting at 8 o'clock.
They got through that opening ceremony so fast that they needed to start at 8. It is now 8 o'clock, and we are telling them to bunch up. It is getting ready to go racing. Flag stand cam, that's a John Aldridge shot. You see a little bit over the shoulder of what how he works in his office. Oh man. I can't imagine being an official, but I sure as hell could not imagine being a racer at this moment. The next time by, they'll get one to go. And that pace truck better get ready to get out of the way, because these drivers are chomping at the bit.
Yep. It is a beautiful sound, and it is a beautiful sight. The sun is setting upon the Indianapolis Speedrome. The lights are off. We are one lap away from 3 hours of the most intense, on the edge of your seat racing that you could ever witness or participate in. The fans are ready here at the Indianapolis Speedrome, and we're sure you fans at home are ready to go as well. Sizemore's really ready.
He's trying to get
He's all ready. Look at that.
Every bit of temperature in those tires.
You ready for 3 hours?
I'm ready.
Here we go, folks. The 3-hour 2023 World Figure 8 Championships are green. Mark Tunny going to lead lap number 1. 2 cars having some big issues. G4 already parked on track. That is Donnie Garrigus, the 4th. His car never got up to speed. And a lot of smoke is pouring out of the 49. Greg Van Wettering. They were taking a look at that car during the pace laps, and he's making his way into the pits. Is it already time for alternates? Is going to be the question.
We got one off, and we're getting ready to send one on.
We are. First car getting ready to come onto the track. Should be the 51. They told him no.
And you talk about the G4 of Garrigus. He refired, but he's having problems.
Now Rod Proctor's gone down 1 lap. Doug Gregg has made his way onto the racetrack. He'll be the first alternate for the night. We have a spin over in the corner and a couple cars trying to navigate it. It's Senekotov who went around in the 15. Riddle stop, Greenfield stop. Excuse me, Greenwell. And trouble in the intersection as a couple cars get together. And that's going to put some debris down on the track as Garrigus still can't get his G4 going. Off the track goes the 74 of Hargreaves. Garrigus pulls off. There are a few cars trying to avoid contact and instead ended up slamming into each other as they came through the intersection. Your leaders are navigating all of this. As our next alternate will come onto the track, the 51, Ryan Clark.
He's been having starter issues after a motor change, and I wonder if that was possibly the delay at the gate, which sent Greg on track early. We got them side by side all the way around the racetrack, and in just a half a lap or less, We are sending him through the intersection.
Oh, man. Welcome to the race, the 99 of Puckett.
And all this while Ben Tunney is on the rear bumper of cousin Mark Tunney.
Hargraves returns to the racetrack in the 74. The Tunnies, Mark and Ben, have separated themselves from the rest of the field. Puckett kind of had a weird merge through the intersection. Oh, it is getting busy. How about that overhead shot? We got some contact over in the corner. It was Basham. Looked like he was climbing the 91 of Sizemore. They're 3 and 4 wide going through the corner. I didn't know you could do that here.
Oh, we got contact to the top of the screen.
Yeah, that's Greenwell who got together
with Riddle.
And Riddle's not in a good spot. In fact, right out of the corner. And that's causing a stack up. And that will bring out our first caution. Yellow, yellow, yellow. Oh, more contact here. It was Larson who just hit the 22 of Hughes.
Larson looks like he's got left front damage. From that tractor tire. He hit the tractor tire, and he's heading to the pits.
That was the longest 4 minutes. We wrecked so many different times, but nobody actually stopped going until this incident that took place. Sitting there, at one point they were 4 wide.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, you can't do that here. And unfortunately, it was kind of proven. We had some contact there that.
And in that 4 wide, Larson tacked the tractor tire over in turn number 2 of the figure 8. Now we're going to see if we can get a camera over in his pit area, which is located about the center of the lane.
A couple cars coming in, Greenwell and Artie Ware, the 38. Now, as a reminder, laps are clicking right now. So these cars, while they sit on pit road, are losing laps. But the benefit to them is that they have a yellow right now. So they're going to be able to fix whatever it is that they need to work on.
I'm going to see, now I'm going to be really needy.
Okay.
I'm going to see if Henry can brighten up just a touch.
You know what? No one can please you.
There we go. It's what that weird situation of the sun is setting and the lights are coming on and you got all these colors. Now, Van Wettering is returning back to the track.
Yep.
We saw in that drone shot.
He had some kind of smoke or steam pouring out of that car. Now Riddle's car is on the hook on his way into the pits. And there's your culprit. You mentioned this for Larson. Were you on that when all the chaos took place? When Larson hit the tractor tire?
Yes.
Good job.
Thank you. Well, I do know that Wes is over in the pit, but that dang wireless, that cord just isn't reaching at times. However, the good thing is his recording, so we can always get footage of it later. But like you said, that's why we brought the really tall camera guy.
All right.
Back at it again.
Restarting 8 minutes in. Now the 2 cars that we were talking about, they still sit on pit road working on their left front. So we'll see how soon they can make it back out. As the Tunnies get to go after it again for the lead. Side by side, Ben Tunney in the 5 looks to take over the lead here for Mark Tunney as Larson returns to the racetrack.
Oh, a little bumper banging over mid-pack, but the battle for the lead through lap traffic. Ed Tunney leads over Mark Tunney. Shackelford in third. Jesse Tunney and Chad Sizemore.
Oh, and then this, it's just wild, all right? Yeah. 3 hours of this. You gotta pace yourself, even as a fan. We got one car going around, out of, that's Clark, and this has just caused a mess through the intersection. Ben Tunney's gonna lose the lead.
How did this all work out? Now, Doug Riddle's stuck.
It was out of turn 2. You mentioned Riddle having his issues. That's Harmon, Garrigus.
All right.
And Harmon's going to be in a bad spot here as your leaders are coming through. Oh, yeah, lots of contact. Carter's getting turned in front of the field. And that's also going to collect more cars. Matt Smith just tried to monster truck his way through, but that didn't work. Hadley involved. Lee Schwartz in it. John Connor got stuck to the front end of somebody. And we're going to have a lot of cars get into the pits here. Durham's in.
Everybody drives away, though.
Smith's in. The 15 of Sinakosov's in. Hadley's going to be in.
Hadley's got right rear damage. Cosmetically, if not suspension. Clark, he was kind of just a ping pong ball in that situation.
Man, see if we could get a replay on that one. That was a big stack up that just grew and grew. Like I said, it all started out of turn 4 on their way to the start-finish line. And we got bumper bars everywhere. That was a big stack up, and honestly, those are the kind of wrecks where it didn't knock anybody out, I don't think. But what it did do is it's taking people further out of contention. It's putting people laps down. Tommy, we're 10 minutes in, and I feel like we've wrecked half the field.
Well, I feel like this has already been an hour-long race in those 10 minutes with all the action, the battle up front for the lead, all the side-by-side rubbing in the back. Oh, boy.
"12 minutes in, and it has been anything but calm here." Durham, they get that car back on the racetrack. You see Smith way back in the picture. Now, some of these cars, while they did have flat tires, the concern's going to be, is there any additional damage to what just took place? Perhaps something in the rear getting bent. And you see it. Welcome to the racetrack. Pete Bear the 4th. Number 24 starting his race. Just 13 minutes in. So he didn't end up losing too much time. So Matt Smith's going to get back on track just as we go back to green. And we got an issue. Looks like Basham has a, oh boy, this is going to cause some issues. We got cars just piling into each other right now. And that's probably going to bring out the yellow. This is where it all started here. Basham's right front broke. Hughes, it looked like, got turned around, and when he tried to get out of the mess, ended up collecting that limb back in the 37. And we are under yellow again. What this is going to do is this is going to help out the drivers and teams that are working on their cars right now from the previous incident. There were some fairly big hits that took place in that one, and sometimes the concern with these cars, which could extend the yellows, is the way that these bumper bars are set up. Sometimes they hook up and it takes a minute for them to get unhooked.
A step away for 2 minutes and 2 cars.
I don't know what you're
if not
thinking.
more.
I don't know what you're thinking. You know better.
I did. And yeah, just a big stack up.
What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to bring in someone to have a conversation with. We got you?
Yeah, you got me?
We got you.
Right on.
All right.
What a crazy race it's been so far, Jeffrey.
Yeah, why don't you introduce yourself? Who are we talking with?
Yeah, my name is Scott Nye. I'm the news director here at the track, kind of a historian of the World Figure 8 Championship. Glad to be with you here on Low Budget TV and Speedrome TV.
Yeah, happy to have you.
Excited for the 3-hour once again this year.
Absolutely. Now this is, like you said, it's been a rough start to the year. Is this, this doesn't feel like a trend that we usually see. We've had a lot of yellows to start this one.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. You know, the field is so close on times, you know, so the competition is tough. So it doesn't take much for guys to get into a little tangle fighting for the same amount of space. But it's been really good so far, kind of some different things. Mark Tunney usually tries to charge out at the start. Ben usually tries to lay back a little bit, but he was hanging there with Mark for quite a bit, but he got caught up at the crossover, and now Chad's up there in the mix once again.
We have a couple cars a lap down right now. You've seen this event so many times. You know the history of it. If you're one of those guys on that team, are you saying, hey, just calm down, we still have 2 hours and 45 minutes
Well,
to go.
the interesting point of that is this is the first year ever we're using the Lucky Dog. So hanging around that 1 lap down spot, you know, is an advantage because you can get that lap back much easier than you could in the old days where you had to drive around the whole field to get that lap back. So here, hanging near those leaders 1 lap down, you can be right back on the lead lap here instantly.
And that Lucky Dog is going to be a game changer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've never had more than 2 guys finish on the lead lap at this race at the end. So we're hoping with the Lucky Dog thing, maybe that might be 4, 5, 6 guys in the end. You just never know. It's definitely going to make the race interesting.
Well, very cool. Scott, you're going to be with us throughout the event, kind of talking about not just the history of this event, but also trends we're seeing, drivers that are up there contending.
And I noticed stepping up here for the first time, that drone shot is amazing.
Isn't it?
Looking at the track over the top there, it just changes your whole perspective on the sport. Even if you've seen a million figure 8 races, most people have never seen it from this vantage point.
Yeah, well, this is it's going to be fun. We're getting ready to do a restart, Scott. We'll catch up with you. As we get ready to go back to racing, oh man, I mean, we're not trying to brag, but that is a good looking shot right there. As we get ready for the restart, 2 hours and 42 minutes to go. And it will be Sizemore taking over the lead. Luckily, that restart was cleaner, but man, do I already see body panels falling off of some of these cars. So Chad Sizemore had some mechanical issues during the practice session earlier today, and that has done nothing to hamper what he's doing. He is out here to win. Not going to be the 3 hour that Durham was hoping for, as he is pulling back off of the racetrack. Going to lose more laps here. The side panels falling off of that car. You see the back half of the field right here. Side-by-side action, hoping they can stay clean here for a bit, let these drivers get into a rhythm. 3 hours of racing. Every time that we have this event, people talk about how intense it gets. With that intensity and the competition, it means drivers get more desperate earlier. And we're seeing a lot of that so far in this 2023 edition. see your leader starting to have to flirt with disaster as they're going through the intersection. That 91 of Sizemore holds on to the lead, but he is going to have to start zigzagging through the traffic. Schwartz stopped over in the just before the intersection, as does the 21 of Riddle. They're gonna keep it going. Everyone on track is still moving. Slower traffic, faster traffic. What it does is it bunches up these fields. That's where we're seeing some of the 3 and 4 wide action, and we got a car that has stuffed it into turn number 1. This is one of our competitors who has been involved in a couple of incidents here so far tonight. Lee Schwartz. And it's another caution flag, another one for the book, Scott.
Yeah, that's a tough one right there. Lee Schwartz, one of our lower funded guys who does a great job here finishing some good finishes during the season. Made the field last night. He was the last guy to get in on that top 20. He was so excited for get in, and he was a good mover so far. He was all the way up to 10th place so far, so hopefully not too much damage, and he can get back in the mix here.
There's certain parts of this racetrack that just seem so treacherous, but for a single car running at this track, it's turn number 1.
Yeah, because until you've been down on the track, the turn is almost a backhanded 90-degree turn. And when you're running 60, 70 miles an hour down into there, you're basically running head on into the wall, and you're going to make a hard 90-degree turn, which is to the right, which is you're more on the left side of the car. So I mean, to go in there every time that hard and trust your car for grip is pretty brave in my book.
Yeah, if you were with us during qualifying, you saw a lot of this. If you weren't, don't miss qualifying for this event. It is always wild, but maybe not as wild, Scott, as the car that just hit the racetrack. This has been the car of storylines this weekend. From what I can tell, the competitors either love it or they hate it, and I love it.
It's been great. I got here like Wednesday when it showed up, and Tommy had just gotten here, and he walked in the door. We both seen it at the same time and just freaked out because we had no clue what it was. But this school bus is amazing. I wish it was an autograph night where the kids could come down and see it in person.
I love it. I love it. And as you can see on the back, this vehicle does not stop for anything.
That's fantastic.
So we're going to get ready for the restart here, as Sizemore has been holding on to the lead. And we are going to resume. We'll see if Sizemore can hold on to it on this restart. Lee Schwartz able to get back on the racetrack in the 51. And as we mentioned, that's the K9, the school bus of Cody Williams, who is on track now. We tell you about survival in this race, but it is certainly not. We didn't expect how much survival we were going to be talking about already. The alternates are getting cycled into this race very quickly, and if the damage isn't too bad on some of these cars, we're going to be filling up this racetrack. Here's your leaders, the 91. Sizemore holding on top. The number 3, that's Mark Tunney, and one car hard in the wall, and that looks like it's the 21 of Rod Proctor. I didn't see the initial start of this one, but that car looked like it pounded the outside wall. You can see the damage there to the right front. Rod Proctor coming out from California, our part of the country. And this is going to be a few moments of interest here, partially because this car happened to crash at the track entrance, so we're not going to be able to bring any cars onto the track while this car sits here.
The wall and they broke that tie rod or whatever there on the right front.
So an unfortunate in there for the 21 of Rod Proctor.
That's a whole interesting situation there. Proctor, you know, as you mentioned, from California, won a lot of races out there in championships in Irwindale and such. He bought that car from Southern Indiana, flew here, then they brought the car up from Southern Indiana, so he really never set foot in it until Thursday. And they've been working on it, massaging it, and gaining speed all weekend, and put it into the starting field here this afternoon during time trials.
Yeah, well, I know from a totally non-biased standpoint, Tommy and I have been screaming at our California drivers to get back out here. It was great not only to see Rod out here, but I know we're hearing more and more interest from those guys, and I know we were close to maybe having 2 or 3 in the field here tonight. We got one. That's a start, California drivers. We're looking for more of you to be on out here. But yeah, Scott, it's like you said, it's neat to see that kind of support.
Yeah.
And not just that, it doesn't stop there.
Because when you look at the big picture, it's 1 from California, 3 from Washington, 2 from Florida, 1 from Wisconsin, a bunch of guys from Kentucky, and of course Indiana. So I mean, it's the whole United States spread out. It's really awesome. Again,
Scott and I joining us here at the Indianapolis Speedrome. And Tommy, it has not been an easy start to the night.
No, we've been having a lot of yellows. And what did I say? To get that lap record, you need to get those green flag runs. We're not having those green flag runs here tonight.
Well, maybe this is the one as we get back to racing. You know I was worried a little bit about Sizemore because he had the mechanical issue during practice. But you were the one who said, I don't know. He is fast. He has lead.
He got towed off in practice. Later on, he was putting stickers on the car as cool as a cucumber. Up high, the drone shot. You see the 42 of Logston pulling on the track.
So welcome to the 3-hour. The 42. Josh Logston, right in front of your leader, by the way. He's gonna get the immediate baptism into this race.
Yeah.
There's your leaders cycling through on our corner cam. Logston doing his best just to start to get up to speed, get into a rhythm. It's not easy for these alternates to just jump right in and get into the groove. I mean, that is a very tight area, and Riddle goes around. Boom! And Shanson and Kosov nowhere to go. Slams in with the left or the right front, and the right front is busted.
Oh, that was just a spin in the wrong spot. And Senekosov is damaged.
This
30 minutes into the race.
You know, I'm going to say it. This is the first year where I wonder if we're going to slim up the field before we start to grow it. We're
on that pace.
We're dropping cars like flies right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we won't see some of these cars return with us, but
see if we got a replay. And here it comes. Yep, just spun out. Riddle in the 21. And just right in front of everybody.
That might have been John Connor in the 20 who might have had some contact there with Riddle to start things off. And
try it again.
Now, yep, there it is again. So
I see what you're saying, and it's kind of hard to tell because Connor did get into the back of Garrigus, but did he wash up? Either way, the 15 went around.
Well,
let's see, slow motion again. Up never mind. I was teased.
There you go.
Yeah, no, there was contact. You can see left front to right rear. So we're talking the 20 black car in the middle to the left side of the 49. Jeffrey's trying to give Scott some assistance.
I'm giving him some love. I'm giving him some love. Scott, how many yellows have we had so far?
We've had quite a few.
I've noticed.
Yeah, that one, unfortunate deal as Riddle goes around, and Senekosov, who did a good job in making the starting field, just had nowhere to go. He was the unlucky one to be in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
So we brought Steve Frost in. He was one of the last qualifiers that we had. We have some extra cars back there that we're anticipating are going to hit the track when they get the opportunity. But it feels like it's been at least a while since we've cycled through this many alternates.
Yeah.
Basically at the 30-minute mark.
Yeah, they've been coming in fast and furious. Last year we ran like 10 and 15 minutes at the start with no caution, so we hardly got any alternates in that first portion, maybe 3-4 alternates in the first half hour. But this has been a totally different cycle.
Yeah.
And that creates an opportunity for those guys. You know, the alternates is what makes this race unique. You know, twice in the past an alternate has finished third in the race. So, you know, those opportunities for those guys to turn laps, because it's not like a 50 lapper. You know, they've still got 2.5 hours to go to pile up the laps.
Tonight could be the night
Yeah.
for an alternate.
And there will be some point in this race where the cautions thin out and these guys just crank off 45, 50 minutes of green flag racing. And we'll see if that interferes with their pit strategy at that point.
Well, we talk about alternates. The very first car to pull on track, Doug Gregg, the guy who's got the most laps ever in this race. Where is he currently?
Well, let's take a look here. The 33 of Doug Gregg. Give me a minute. He's up to 15th.
Exactly. So he could, to Scott's point, even make it into the top 10, top 5, or even top 3.
I'm sorry, but Scott thinks he's expecting some green flag runs. I don't believe he's Scott.
Well, we're going to go green, and Logsdon stalled.
I think he was just waiting. Nope, he stalled. And he got it going again. And he says, yeah, we're good. Let's go racing. We got an issue over in turns 1 and 2. That will bring out the yellow. Once again, that's Pete Bear and
Mike Riddle.
he's got somewhere to be.
Yeah, Bear in the 24. He's driving away.
Looked like it was Riddle who was also involved in this, perhaps. If anything, maybe the flag stand shot would have been only view of this. So I don't know if
maybe the drone too.
Oh, you know what? I keep forgetting we have an eye in the sky.
We do.
The all-seeing eye.
We were on that restart with the drone, and that was pretty cool. You got to see an eye in the sky. What I'm going to see if Henry can do.
Okay.
And this might be asking for too much.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
Wonder if he can get low in one of the what they call the pies of the figure 8.
Okay. Right in the middle.
Get like a nice like spinnerooski. Yeah. When we go green, I wonder
looks like
if
a teardrop. I don't.
Like pan the field going by. Now we don't have to go all the way down to the ground.
That's a big slice of pie, Tommy.
Yeah.
That's your slice of pie.
All right, let's see if we can see the drone in the sky. There he is.
You know, usually this is the part where I make a joke about close encounters. Look at that. Isn't that cute? There he goes.
There he goes down. I lost him. He's dropping.
Dropping altitude.
All right, now let's see what his shot looks like down there.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. He's getting right on that intersection. All right, Henry, the challenge is you're going to be there for the restart. Good luck on seeing if you can follow the cars. And don't get hit. You know, this race has been wild so far.
The first few, by the way, actually, just a heads up, we have 2 big returns to the track. One of them was the 34. Basham is back on the racetrack. The other, the number 2 of Mike Hadley. So now they're starting to come back. We have another car coming onto the track, and that is a guy we haven't seen for a while. That is Artie Ware. Artie Ware is 33rd right now, 52 laps down, but I still won't count him out the way this race is going.
No, not at all. You got to be in it to survive, and you got to survive by being in it.
Here we go. Folks, you aren't just watching the action, you are now going to be in the action with this drone shot as we get ready for the restart. 2 hours and 25 minutes left on the clock.
Nice work, Henry. That's good. Here they come back at you, though. You might want to put it on your helmet.
Doodle Ferris, the 48, just pulled his car off of the racetrack.
Nice job, Henry. We got battles all the way around this racetrack. Up front, they're bumper to bumper, but mid-pack, we are door to door.
The school bus is having some pie. Yeah. Let's see, this is gonna get a squeeze here. Pete Bear came up the racetrack. It almost sent Steve Frost into the wall. Doug Gregg was just shoving his way through, and Frost is still having issues. We got, we've seen this one before, Calvin Crane.
We got him stuck.
And Chris Curtis is like, I gotta go. And he just, He went.
What was that?
I don't know. That was a turbo boost.
How was Crane able to drive away from that?
I don't know how Curtis was able to find another gear when he was stuck against the car, but he did. That was weird.
Well, the GoPro is still on Calvin Crane's car. I don't know about Curtis's. See if we can find the 74.
There he is.
Wow, what a moment. I think we're getting ready for a replay on that one. Watch this. So when life gets in the way, you just drive through it.
I wonder what Calvin was thinking.
Yeah, I can imagine what he was thinking. He's probably saying obscenities. Trying it again
Here's that
here.
shot again. Scott, you're seeing something here.
Yeah, they were hooked going into the corner there. That's why they pushed up towards the wall, because their bumpers were hooked. And then when they sort of turned sideways, Chris Curtis was like, I know how to unhook these cars. Watch this.
You know, it's a wild consideration here.
Sorry, I didn't mean
It's
to-
still there. But if Chris hadn't done that, like, I'm sure Calvin wasn't loving that moment. But if he didn't do that and those two cars stopped, we might have been sitting here for 5 minutes of them getting unhooked and just losing laps.
Yeah, he just resolved the situation on himself. He said, just hang on, I got this.
I'm looking here because we have cameras stationed around the racetrack.
Are you just seeing if we still have them?
I don't know if we do on the wall.
I'm pretty sure Rod Proctor cleaned out our shots over in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah. Well, that's what the fun is on 3 Hour Sunday, is to pick up all the cameras.
That's right. That's right. Scott, this felt like a later start to the year than usual. An 8 p.m. start.
Well, years ago we didn't follow time zones like everybody else. Indiana and Arizona flip-flop back and forth between time zones, so we used to go from Central to Eastern and back, so we were able to start the race at 7 o'clock. But once Indiana adopted daylight savings time, and we've been on Eastern time for about 7-10 years, it gets darker later. So we try to start the race at 8, so it's at least at dusk when we get started, because it's not really as cool a feel when it starts in the daylight.
See that? Scott's like, he knows what looks pretty. It's like, we got to have the fireworks be visible.
That's right. Fireworks aren't that fun during the daylight, even though our neighbors like to shoot them off at all hours of the day.
All right, it is restart time. 2 hours and 21 minutes to go. So far, 35 cars have gotten on track during this event. We started, remember, with 28. 7 alternates have made their way onto the racetrack. We should have a couple more back there. And the 91 of Sizemore is going to clear Mark Tunney and hold on to the lead for now. Maybe a little nudge. Man, they are bumper slamming.
Not all the way around this racetrack, but look at this board.
Oh, your leaders just had a moment, and they're still having a moment right now, as Mark Tunney in the 3T is going to take over the lead. We'll have to clip that one for a replay because it was close. Our car was merging back in. It was Josh Logsdon. We have more issues going through the intersection. Chris Curtis involved. But Josh Logsdon was merging.
Oh.
And, oh boy. Oh man.
And this traffic jam is on the tail of a battle.
Yeah, that C. Frost sitting spun around over in turn number 3 right now. While these battles are going on, it's jumbling up the field, and this is the times where you sometimes see intersection happen because there's so many different lanes to have to navigate. A lap ago, Jeffrey Shackelford, I think, almost lost. Oh, trouble for your leaders! Mark Tunney goes around, and so does Sizemore. That's going to hand the lead over to Ben Tunney. We saw a weird moment just a few laps ago where Craig Van Wettering, his car suddenly cranked it to the right. He just pulled his car into the pit area. Some issue for that car.
Shackelford's car looks to be smoking a little bit.
I am seeing that starting to grow. And Rod Proctor is back on the racetrack after his slam with the wall. Never give up.
Let's see if we can see the 28. What could be either a tire rub, because it looks like it's only smoking in the corners. Not sure. It looks to be either under the hood or the right side. Could that be oil coming out of the motor and onto the exhaust?
We've seen that with some of these Outlaws, where they could smoke heavily in a corner, but be fine on the straightaway.
Yeah. Battle for the lead is brewing up between Ben, Jesse, and Austin. The three brothers duking it out for the win.
Somebody installed a slalom on the figure 8 portion of this track, because that intersection is madness right now. People are stopping. Your leaders are coming up to it. And now we have a parking lot. Their logs that just slid through the intersection.
Yellow.
There's too much. So the officials said no mas. We can't do it anymore. Oh.
Well, we told you this race was crazy,
Hey.
and for those of you that know it, it is crazy, but this race is crazy.
We just had our probably the longest green flag run that we had there. It's, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun there. You know, you got a good chance to see at the crossover. The interesting part of this race, when you see all the guys from those states mixed together that don't normally race with each other, when you race with your buddies here weekly, you kind of know their tendencies, whether they're going to go or they're going to stop or whatever. You dump all these guys in from all across the country, and they just don't know the regular tendencies, so they're basically taking an educated guess of who's going to stop and who's going to go, while the other guy's doing the same thing.
And that's one of the absolute fun parts of all this. Now, we talked about, I think we might have a replay here queued up. This is the moment where you see Mark and Sizemore, they got caught up with some lap traffic.
Yeah,
and luckily not a lot of damage there.
Yeah, it looked like Van der Wettering was trying to just veer off the track and just turn right into the path of these guys as they were trying to avoid him, and they had no place to go, but they were able to turn the wheel to the right just enough to get from getting hooked up with him. Kind of spun around, but you could see Ben Tunney and Jesse Tunney just flying right on by.
Greg was having some issues just prior to that moment, he ended up pulling it off the track.
Well, if you remember back, his car was smoking on the first and second lap, and he pitted like on lap 3 or 4, and then came back out like 10 laps later. It wasn't smoking again, but he's still trying to find a rhythm or with whatever issues he's got going on.
Well, that was a moment for sure as the leaders tangled, but it could have been a whole lot worse, and somehow they found a way to just spin it out and keep going.
Now, most years we're able to keep people up to tabs on, oh, this car pulled off, oh, this car's back. There's been so many on and off right now that I'm like, I'm going to smack your phone out of your hands, Tommy. But we mentioned Proctor's return, Doodle Ferris return, and welcome our newest alternate. In fact, make it 2 alternates being onto the racetrack. The 19 of Elliot McKinney, who came out for qualifying, and he unfortunately couldn't get the car refired. He stalled on his lap. Also, the car that did fire on his lap, but nailed the wall, the 77.
And Shackelford is off, tending to that smoke issue. Back to green we go. So problems and developments for one of the race favorites, Jeffrey Shackelford. I'm going to see if we can get Henry over in the pits, hovering the white and orange number 28. He was on that long row down the center aisle, I guess.
3 wide into turn number 3.
Oh, he's got to come in for a tire change.
So Ben Tunney has the lead in the number 5 over Austin Tunney and Jesse Tunney. Mark Tunney has worked his way up to 4th, and then you have the 20 of John Connor in the top 5. One of these things that these drivers master is being as predictable as possible going through the intersection, allowing your other competitors coming from the other side to know what you're going to do. You oftentimes hear when there's intersection hits that somebody sees a nose drop and all of a sudden it raises, brakes. Oh, as Curtis just got hit in the intersection. It was a clip, but it did knock off about a quarter of his rear bumper.
Oh, we got some debris.
And what are you? Look at this.
Look at this. 4 wide, 3 wide, 3 wide.
Oh, 5 wide?
4 wide, 3 wide. It's a good thing there is no spotters in this race, because that's what it would have sounded like.
Yep, the school bus is getting a lesson right now, going to school.
You know, this school bus, I know it was talked about and it was viral. You wonder what this school bus is going to look like at the end of a race like this.
Oh, Curtis going through the intersection causes the leaders to whoa up. Everyone navigates just fine, but the stack-ups here are really starting to look confusing to all of us. I want to point out that we do have our 37th car on the racetrack right now. However, he's just now going to complete a lap. Donnie Garrigus is now starting the race.
And so he crashed earlier today, and the team's doing a great job of getting the 77 on track, but it is struggling.
Yeah, I think he got on track, and that was a chance even almost getting up to speed where there might be something he's not feeling in that car that he's liking. This pack right here, Hadley on the outside of a 3 wide, that's Hughes on the inside of it all. Harmon there in the 17, some contact through the intersection.
Update from the pits, Jeffrey Shackelford is out.
19X goes for a spin. McKinney, and he said Shackelford is out.
And look at this madness over here.
Madness. We got debris starting to shed on the racetrack. This looks like blue body panels that are just being torn up right now. And we see the shot. There's Shackelford walking in.
Trouble. Harmon around in the red 17, and we're stacking
Oh, yeah,
behind.
big issues.
Clark gets involved.
And in all of that mix, the 7 has taken over the lead. Austin Tunney was able to get around Ben Tunney. And you mentioned it here. We just saw a shot of Jeffrey Shackelford walking in, dejected. His 3 hour done way too early. And we might have just ended a couple more.
There's Greenwell there in the 40. This has probably been the most over the top, and you can use that word literally in some of these wrecks.
We have drivers climbing out here. We can take a look as we get. That is the 17 of Harmon pulling off the helmet. He's not happy. Greenwell sitting there. You can see the right front damage on that car. Take a look at a replay here, see what happened. You see Harmon got hooked there. Looked like from Hughes.
Yeah, it looked like they saw the 21 of Proctor slowing up, and Corey noticed it before Hughes did, and Hughes got into the back of him and turned around. See Proctor slowing there,
yeah,
and Harmon slows down a little bit for him, and Hughes
Harmon has Proctor has a flat right rear tire too.
Yeah, he's been having a lot of trouble at the crossover recently, so maybe that tire's been going down on him.
Now you see that moment there between these two drivers here. Harmon immediately is getting ticked off at the 51 because he got run over, but what's happening in that moment is Clark is looking over at what's coming to the left.
Yeah, you can see the two of them pointing the finger at each other saying, it's your fault, no, it's your fault.
Harmon's like, why'd you run over me? And Clark's like, why'd you park here?
Yeah, yeah, you can't park here.
They're actually having a conversation if we want to cut over to the live shot here.
Yeah, and also it looks like the cars are tangled together, so you see track owner Kevin Garrigus out there and the rest of the crew.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out how to unhook these guys. Because they just can't hook the wrecker up to them and pull them away because their bumpers and rub rails are entangled there with each other. You see them trying to pull the Harmon car off the edge of Clark's machine there. A little brute force there.
And these are the type of yellows that open up opportunities later in the race where you start seeing potential. Now, We know that red flags, if a red flag comes out, we're not counting laps after that point.
Right, red flag, stall the clock, stall the lap count, and if it's at the right time, it's a good opportunity to pit because, you know, you could get all your service done and not lose any time or laps. Because on a normal time, if you pit during a yellow, you may lose 3 laps, 4 laps, you know, putting tires on and fuel. So if you could do it with the clock stop, that'd be fantastic. And we've seen this in the past that if they get tangled up too much and it takes too long to unhook them, they may go red.
Right. Now, I'm sure you got this number somewhere on you. Where are we looking as far as what is the fuel window for these cars?
A lot of times if we get a good green flag runs, you know, guys like to go to 300, you know, maybe get close to that 2-hour mark and pit. Other guys can, you know, that means 2/3 of the race. So you can even reverse that if you have some trouble early around the hour mark as we're getting close to where you could turn that into your pit stop if you know maybe there's something wrong with the car and go ahead and service it if it's a good enough caution. As we were talking about earlier, you want to pick a caution where the field is slow on their pace laps and you can get back as fast as you can.
Yeah. It's it's always a gamble, right? You don't know if that red flag's ever going to come out for you. We haven't actually had a red flag yet in this race.
Yeah, and that's what happens sometimes when you're looking to go towards that 1.5, 2-hour mark and you decide you're going to go then, but maybe the field's thinned out, so they do have a long green flag run, and you're sitting there saying, the next caution, I'm going to pit. Well, what if it's 45 minutes from now?
Yeah.
You know?
And it's also, I feel like a lot of this strategy is going to be adjusted because of the lucky dog rule. A lot of times, a late pit allows you to lap some guys, give you that buffer. You go, well, we know those guys are out of it. This year, we're bringing people back on the lead lap. So like you said, we're going to be constantly doing that.
And it's so unusual because we don't have two-way communication between crews and drivers. So the team set up a plan before the night starts. But, you know, as soon as the green flag comes out, that plan goes awry. You know, so they're communicating with each other maybe with a written chalkboard at the fence. But still, it's almost a guessing game, and the crew and the drivers sort of have to be on the same wavelength without being able to talk to each other. So that's always interesting.
Yeah. So as we are just past lap 100 in this race, talking about lucky dogs being for the first time ever in a 3-hour and how that may change the strategy and whether it be pit strategy or just how hard you're going to run.
Yeah, and looking at the lineup right now, our first alternate, Doug Gregg, he's up to 11th, guys.
He's coming.
He's getting ready to crack the top 10.
That's why I wanted us to keep an eye on him.
Yes, we're not even in full, you know, getting ready to crack an hour of this race, and Doug Gregg has almost got into the top 10 after coming in 29th.
You know, it's like when you're watching the news and the weather's in town, we're on Doug Gregg watch.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
How about, you know, I'm looking over this, and what I'm impressed with, I would not have guessed this, is that Chris Curtis, with everything we've seen him involved in, is on the lead lap.
Yeah, he's been in the tangle with Crane down there. He's had his bumper ripped off at the crossover, but yet he just keeps plowing on. And that's what an endurance race is all about.
Yep. Oh my goodness.
I did appreciate the track owner himself down there getting his hands dirty, breaking these cars apart.
Yep.
And valve cover issue more than likely for Shackelford. That's what took him out of this race.
Wow.
And yeah, they might be working on getting it back together, but no contention to win.
So, yeah, I mean, that's it, right? Where they're like, yeah, we're out, but we're not done.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully
potentially. They might be done, and they might just say, we'll race it later.
All right, we get ready.
Shackelford is officially loaded up, by the way, so he ain't back.
Okay. Maybe they'll bring the trailer out as we restart. 2 hours and 5 minutes in. The driver, large and in charge, Austin Tunney in the number 7, took the lead just before the caution came out. But Ben Tunney is trying to take it over. You know, we joked with Austin, we're like, hey, we'll put the GoPro on your front bumper. And he says, you do know this is the number 7 car, right?
Yeah. He's not had the stats to prove how good he is in this race, but he's proving how good he is in this race. And he said, until something happens. Well, hopefully tonight for him, nothing happens but a win.
Yeah, it wasn't in Austin that we were hearing the stat that he's won, but how many other top 10s does he have?
He's only got one top 10.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's what he told us. You got the stat competition next year.
Yeah, Scott's probably losing his mind listening to our stats right now, but we have a mess of cars, as we're always going to do on this night during this event.
There's only so much room on a fifth of a mile.
It really is. But I always will give shout-outs to the drivers and teams that might be 50 laps down, but get their cars back on the racetrack because the race isn't done.
Look at this mess of a car. Calvin Crane, 3 wide.
Oh, we got more mess of a car starting to. We're making messes.
But it's still running.
Crane's losing the whole side panel.
Never give up.
Joe's gonna catch that thing in a second. Ben Tunny is your leader.
We do have the 19 Parks.
Oh man, Puckett went for a slide. He's not in a great spot right now. We've seen cars have some big hits in this area. Van Wettering just avoids caution. The problem with where the 99 is sitting is that cars, this is basically your full speed point of the racetrack. Yeah. And a lot of drivers see what's coming through the intersection and then realize, oh.
So Puckett goes for a spin.
Did you get that slide through the intersection? I don't know if you did, but maybe we could get a replay of the intersection shot.
I'm sure that one did.
Of that 99 sliding to where he ended up here, because that was insane. He drifted avoidance.
Yeah.
You know,
I caught that out of the corner of my eye while watching 3 wide over on the other side of the track.
We need a word counter for how many times I use words like insane. But how else do you describe this event?
Yeah, it is pure craziness. Pure craziness. I tell you something cool. The last 20, 30 minutes, you know, all 3 of the Tunny brothers, Ben, Jesse, and Austin, were up running up front. 20 years ago was when their dad finally won the World Figure 8 Championship in 2003. Those that knew him back then, he was known as the man with no fear, and Bill Tunny would never stop at the crossover. And he finally won the 3-hour race on his 25th try, and it was one of the most popular victories. And 20 years ago he won the race. 10 years ago we lost Bill in his battle to cancer. So it's kind of an anniversary of that. And to do that, Ben has put a throwback paint scheme. That's the 1998 version of Bill Tunny Jr.'s car right there. So it's cool 20 years later from that win to see all 3 of his sons running up front together. Yeah. And maybe one could come home with the win. They've all 3 won the race before.
But now their cousin.
Here's our replay, by the way. We'll come back to that here in a moment. It was contact with Puckett, and he just goes for the drift. Kurt Hooken is up here with a replay.
Yeah, contact right there, and that's when he realized that's not good.
Yeah, foot to the floor. That was probably his best option. Now, you were just seeing Mark Tunny had someone in his passenger window.
They stopped Mark, but he's going to get his spot back as
They were probably just checking his GoPro.
Probably.
We don't have one on that car, but he runs his own. So. Does it feel like it's only been an hour to you guys? Because
there's been so much, and I think there's been a season's worth of pure craziness, as Scott has said, in just this first hour.
By the way, I don't want to break any hearts, but we're not beating the lap record today.
No, probably not. But it's always weird in this first hour. You'll see the total, and you'll be like, man, we're never even going to get to 300. And then all of a sudden, they'll just start piling the laps up, and we'll be, in the 400 somewhere.
We're starting to see the rhythm progress here. That the last couple of runs have been lengthy.
Yeah.
We as Calvin, I don't know how long they're going to let Calvin run with that as it sits, but Calvin, that car has been rearranged. It is one of those Chinese puzzles that I haven't yet figured out.
Is the corner of the spoiler. The plexi or the Lexan is busted off, and the aluminum is just dragging. It'll clear itself.
And Chris Curtis, with all those issues, just got that lucky dog right there. He's going to go back to the lead lap, even though he's been in several accidents. And you guys mentioned earlier that one where he pushed the car out of the way in a corner. If he would have stayed there, he would have never had that opportunity to get back in the lead lap. So.
And that car was Calvin Crane's mess of a car that we're talking about. By the way, here's a surprise to me. Mike Hadley Jr., I felt like he was off the track for an hour. Obviously an exaggeration, but he's only 2 laps down.
Yeah, but he's been most of the time at the back of the field. Like he hasn't really gotten his rhythm yet.
Yeah.
And that's why it seemed like he's been more laps down than he has, because he's just been trying to survive the leaders at the crossover.
So Hadley will be in position right now to be the next lucky dog in the event of a quick yellow. And if he gets it, he'll only be 1 lap down. And from that point, I would say whenever lucky dogs are in play, being at least 1 lap down means you're in play.
Yeah, everything's possible then.
Absolutely. Calvin Crane also is 2 laps down, so those two will be racing for it prior to anyone else losing a lap. Matt
Calvin
Smith
is off the track, by the way, getting repairs. So that might have detriment your strategy or your topic. I don't think they like that dangling.
It was like I was Calvin Crane and you were Chris Curtis just now.
I had to tell you, hey, just calm down a
You
little
just
bit.
ran me over, but I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it because, you know, you got us the info we needed. But I needed a good comparison of that. Oh. You having fun?
I love it. Now, is this Crane coming back on the track here? Looks like it. I see blue at the gate.
I know Scott's having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you talk about Crane, he is the oldest driver in this race.
Yeah?
He's 62 years old, and he won an Outlaw Figure 8 just 1 year ago down at the Speedrome Speedway, so don't let age fool you.
No.
Calvin Crane's one of the bravest guys at the crossover here.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
We put a camera on this C4. You saw it blinking at the top of the roof, and he goes, oh, so you wanted to film some action tonight.
Yeah, C4 is definitely explosive.
Yes.
So that pit stop will put him an additional lap down. He sits 3 laps down to the field. But again, you're 3 laps down, but you're in 9th. You're still eyeing a top 5 for sure. You're not out of it. We got drivers that are right now on track that are, let's see, if I could give an accurate, nope, he's not on track. I wanted to make sure he was. I was looking for McKinney.
Oh, yeah.
He was over 100 laps down. He'll be back. I have faith. He'll come back.
Lights are out. We're going green next time by.
And guys, there's 27 cars still on the track
Yeah.
because of that alternates thing. You know, normally in a race you lose all those guys and they're down to 11 or 12. This race just keeps them coming.
I'll tell you right now, I wish every short track adopted the alternate thing. For any race that has a B main, I think it should be mandatory. As we get back to racing, 1 hour and 56 minutes left on the clock. Following the field through the corner, Ben Tunny looking to take over that lead from the 7th. If you really wanted me to drive you nuts, here we go. Tunny and Tunny side by side for the lead. Tunny and Tunny side by side for 3rd. It's a Tunny top 4 with Tunny in 1st, Tunny in 2nd, Tunny in 3rd, and Tunny in 4th. Here comes Sizemore.
Look at you go. Sounds like an epic rap.
Yeah, except every rhyme is the same word. Everybody knows that there is a family to watch out for at these races, and that is anyone with the last name Tunny. They bring it, they've deserved it. Ben Tunny leads. Jesse and Mark side by side. Sizemore is still in this one. He was leading earlier, had the spin. Riddle with issues, you see the 21 there, maybe just waiting to find a gap to get through the intersection. The 77 of Johnny Garrigus, he's going to pull his car off the racetrack.
Up high, you see the action at the crossover.
Chris Curtis just got his lap back, but he's about to lose it again. And now I can officially say, as the 19 of Elliott McKinney comes back on the racetrack, is that we are running with a car 108 laps down. Props for not giving up, Elliott McKinney. I think Riddle's got an issue in that 21.
Yeah.
It's well off the pace. Ben Tunny has the biggest lead we've seen all night right now. About 6 car lengths over 2nd place. Logsdon just got the bumper from Mike Hadley. 4 wide into turn number 1.
Yeah, squeezing it in there.
I always feel like if you're a car just a little off the pace in these races, you get bullied.
Yeah, you're in the way.
I hearing some weird noises out of the 99 of Puckett. I'll
Yeah.
keep an eye on that.
Might be something with the electrical. Oh, we got a bit of a stack up. We heard the same noises last year with Mike Hadley.
You're right. The school bus is doing just fine out there.
All right, what other battles we got? In the background, Ferris, Matt Smith, Mike Riddle.
So Ben Tunney is now working his way through some heavy lap traffic as Rod Proctor just avoided Hughes in the intersection. These two avoid each other through the intersection. That was a lot.
That was an inch or maybe even a hair.
I think that was Durham was certainly one of them. Garrigus was the other who just avoided some mayhem there in the intersection. And it always seems like it's the intersections that we see tend to take place more often after a long green flag run. Like once we build those up, I don't know if it's a matter of lap traffic becoming less predictable or what it is, but luckily so far, no big collisions through the intersection. Every major incident we've had has been in a corner. Sizemore's dealing with some really big lap traffic. As he goes through, we have a spin, it's Van Wettering. And that's right in front of Ben Tunney, and that allows the number 7 of Austin Tunney to close back in.
Battle back here, just entering turn number 1 and 2, the 57 and the 3. Mark Tunney, Jesse Tunney duking it out with Connor on the bumper.
Oh, Greg Van Wetter is trying to get to pit road, and he gets stacked into by Logsdon, and that's going to stack more cars. Sizemore was involved in that. Caution flies. Is that Basham's part?
That's a 42 and
might be the 34.
Yeah,
and I'm curious to see if Sizemore's right front is okay. He's still on track.
Where is he? Oh, he's over turns 3 and 4 of the figure 8.
We'll see if we can get a replay on that one as we take a look at the 91.
Front damage.
See the damage there. The important thing is it looks like the right front survived. That easily could have been something to rip off your suspension there.
All right.
So all the cars involved in that did drive away. And here is a replay. You see, I think Van Wettering was trying to initially get to the pits.
And it turns into a Speedrome stock up.
We've seen these plenty of times. Watch again. The 49 had just, I think, spun out, and the way that his car's not, he's not really making the low end of the track, and Mark Tunney's glad he didn't go any further to the pits.
And that was all around that battle for 3rd.
There's Sizemore in his contact.
Yeah, that's what happened. He was trying to get to the pits. It's hard. It's basically a 3-lane change, you know, to hit the exit ramp at 50 miles an hour. And he got through there, and then Logsdon kind of, his bumper tangled with the back of him, and then some of those other guys just had no place to go. And it wasn't a lot of damage. It just clogged up the intersection there.
So this is a friendly reminder to everybody to use your blinker.
Yes,
please.
Yes. He gave them about 2 feet of notice before he decided to hit the exit right there, which we've all seen on the interstate, and maybe gave a few words to that driver when they were trying to do it.
Well, Scott, you know, we're talking about traffic patterns and whatnot. We've heard that one thing that makes the drivers in Indianapolis so good is that they're used to going through an intersection but driving on ice in the winter. And so you got to sometimes know, hey, we're not stopping. We're just going right through.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what's been great here lately. The intersection has been breathtaking. There's been so many close calls with multiple cars, but the guys are so talented that they just thread the needle through there at high speed and just make it, even though the intersection is never the same every time they go through it.
Again, you're listening to Scott Nye joining us here, the statistician of figure eights, of all figure eights. Like, I feel like he knows more about
He gives us the packet for the race that we go to, and he's not even at.
I feel like when we'll be at Orange Show and he's like, "Did you guys know this?" And we're like, "No, we no."
Did we know that Racing Ron Davis isn't here, by the way, but he is still one of the all-time lap runners of that race?
Yeah. I made my plea on air last year for this, that Ron Davis needs to make it here before he retires.
But I think he's probably not here because he's too busy getting ready for Orange Show.
Oh, absolutely.
The good news is I don't think Ron Davis will ever retire.
Or Ron Davis is racing somewhere tonight in some kind of car that maybe he purchased on Thursday.
Or bike. He's a speedway bike racer.
Yeah.
2 wheels and no brakes.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we are getting ready for the restart. And Van Wettering did pull off. He got back on track. The 74 is just going to use up every lucky dog we have here tonight.
Hey, they're available. Might as well take them. And back to green we go.
So an hour and 48 minutes on the clock. No weather to worry about this year.
Yeah, that's right. That was a talking point in last year's event. We were trying to get to halfway.
And then we just made it all the way.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I know there's things to pay attention through timing and scoring, and sometimes there's stuff that has to be adjusted for the officials. My timing and scoring shows that John Connor is 1 lap down. However, I don't remember when he would have lost that lap, so we'll see if it stays that way.
Or maybe it happened so fast we missed it.
It does. Now, Chris Curtis made sure to lose a lap so he could get the lucky dog again here. There must be a sponsorship. He must get like $5 every time he gets his lap back.
So up front, they are single file, but back here, it is anything but.
Yeah. A lot of these drivers, you got some frustrated drivers in this field that were looking for a victory here tonight. See side panels missing. We got one jumping on top of another. That was Calvin Crane. Into the back of Clark in the 51. Well, those cars continue. Now Clark slams into the back of Pete Bear. I'm telling you, everyone's hitting everybody. School bus time for your leaders.
The kids are late and the teachers got to get the students learn.
The school bus is like, hey, no passing. I don't know why you didn't have a stop sign to poke out there. Would have been a little extra strategy, but.
3 wide.
And you don't see it during the race, but just know that school bus has fully functional lights.
Yeah, they probably said, let's not use them.
Larson almost got turned. Ben Tunney almost got clobbered.
And that turns into a battle for the lead.
Yes, it does. The 7 is all over the rear of the 5. That's Austin Tunney was not able to make it happen there. Ben was able to hold him off, went way wide. There you see the stalking taking place. Austin Tunney, Jesse Tunney. The school bus is in the middle of a 3 wide right now. He just got out of it, but just know there's a school bus out there for all of us. I don't know how you know what to even look for. There's the intersection. John Connor, Chris Curtis, and Chad Sizemore's not going to survive that one.
Took it right in the right front wheel, and we go yellow.
He's already pulled the steering wheel off of the car. Now, we're still crashing in the intersection, by the way. Craig Van Wettering just slammed into something.
Curtis coming over.
It was a matter of time before we had an incident in the intersection. Almost got halfway through it. There's Sizemore climbing out of the car.
Henry's got a shot of it up high as well. You can see the right front is bent all the way. That's crank to the right.
Curtis in the 74, he's just been lingering right around a lead lap run here today. And that Sizemore walking over. Looks like he's just casually walking up to the 74, but man, the mindset of these competitors to go from knowing that you have a chance at winning this to climbing out of your car and going, I think your car looks all right.
And you know, for Sizemore, unfortunately for him, as we look at the replay, he has dodged, I'm talking Sizemore, he has dodged so many tonight, but it just finally caught up to him.
Yeah, it was our right front, or his right front, that we thought was going to take a hit in the previous incident.
Connor just has nowhere to go. He got out there in the middle, and there was cars in front of him,
He was trapped
behind him, and no place to go. And Chris Curtis was the unlucky one that made some contact with him in there, and Chad caught the back end of Curtis's car on the ricochet and messed up the right front of his machine.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't see it take place, and the only shot that would have seen it would probably be our intersection shot, but you see the 49 of Craig Van Wettering past this going the other direction, and it looked like he got involved with it coming back on the other side. So.
Yeah, it looked like Craig came up a little bit later, but he had to avoid someone at the crossover, and as soon as he got past him, he looked up, and on the end of his bumper there was Curtis still parked as the caution was coming out.
So Chris Curtis is is driving away from this incident. You see his car rolling just behind the 91 of Sizemore. Van Wettering, I don't know if that thing's stuck in gear or what, but the rear wheels are not even turning on that car.
Yeah, he jammed into the back of Chris Curtis pretty square, and sometimes the drivetrain does take a shot there because the car has nowhere to go.
Well, you know what? I think the tow truck driver has it out.
And well, look at what he was reading. Look at what the tow truck driver was reading.
Oh, now there's a social media post right there. Oh man.
I mean, once you read that enough, you have to just figure to find out.
Oh.
Yeah, when they got to the gate there, that rear end was just locked in and it would not turn.
Nice work over there, Joe, getting that shot.
See, they're pulling in there with the gator in the front end trying to hook him up, but the back end still, as we seen on the replay, was locked up.
Do we know that Craig just doesn't want to leave the racetrack? Maybe he's like, stop. He's got the rears locked up.
I'm not ready.
I still got time.
Well, just ahead of him going in was Chris Curtis. This might be the first caution in the last 6 that Chris Curtis didn't pick up a lucky dog.
Right, and you know who should be the lucky dog, if I'm correct. Let's see, I'm taking a look. I think it's going to be one of two people. I mentioned that for timing and scoring, I show that Connor's a lap down. I don't think he would have been.
I think the race monitor is offline right now.
There you go.
Because look at the lap count on the board there. What are we up to there? 150.
See, this is why Scott's with us.
And also, Kurt messaged me, so apologies for not catching that.
Yeah, the timing and scoring computer is on 24/7. It's just sending the signal out to the race monitor app is what is probably kicked off right there, whether it's an internet issue or whether it's from Race Monitor itself.
Please tell me Race Monitor gets back on, because trying to hand score this would not be very fun.
Well, the timing and scoring computer continues to run.
Oh, I just mean for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I keep trying to look over your shoulder to see what the lap total is, but the American flag keeps fluttering right in front of it.
Hey, God bless the USA.
Yeah, so we're okay. As long as the action continues, we're fine.
All right, I want to see if Henry can get over to the pits and see if we can see work done on the 91, the silver 91 that just pulled off the pits. That car was located on the far end where the nearest to the track entrance.
And it looked like he just clipped it with the right front there, so maybe it could be as simple as a tie rod or something. That most of these teams measure and prepare extra tie rods to the exact length they need and have them on the parts table, so that way if they need to replace them, you know, it makes it quicker.
And in an event like this, with cars that have exposed front wheels, you know that is a likely fix you're going to have to make.
Yeah, when a wheel runs into a steel back bumper, you know, those suspension parts are going to be the first thing, the weak link that breaks.
Well, so as you were pointing out,
all right, there's the repairs.
So here's the 91 Sizemore, and they are going to town right now.
Yeah, crew chief Johnny Hargraves down there, I'm sure, pointing out what needs to be done and jumping right in there. And as you can see, there's crews from other people there ready to help at any time, and that's what happens a lot of time in these pit areas. These guys race tooth and nail but other crews are ready to jump in when they can.
And one of the signs, I feel like, if you're not there listening to what everyone's saying, is you pay attention to the driver. Is the driver ready to hop back into the car?
Yes.
That's your sign of, like, are they close? Also, the franticness. I see crew members running. They are trying to get this car back on track ASAP.
Yeah, they might need a tool or a part or something to run it over to somebody else to check out. But you're right. If the driver isn't immediately climbing out, you know, they really think they got a shot at putting that back together.
We'll see what happens.
So I was just very much confirmed that timing and scoring over the interwebs is having an issue. We're back to green.
Well, the good news is that Pete Bear spun out, but the better news, sorry Pete, the better news is we have an hour and a half to fix it, so.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Henry, for getting that pit report, and I think we have a battle for the lead brewing up. We definitely have a battle for third.
Ben Tunney leads the way over Austin. Mark Tunney's trying to take over that third position. There you see Sizemore in the pit area.
That's a bummer for Chad. He was a fast 91 machine, likely just getting it ready for the final stretch drive in this race, but gets collected near the halfway point of this race.
Scott, we saw there.
Chad himself had the tie rod assembly in his hands in the trailer, so he was measuring out the right one and running back to his car, so maybe they do have the parts to fix it.
All right, so that's our pit report from Scott.
He goes far. He traveled a lot.
He ran all the way down there just to tell us that. It was amazing. Well, you see the field cycling through. Is this going to be one of those times? Right now, there's a guy hoping that we have a yellow flag, and that's going to be Sizemore as they work to fix that car. A very competitive 91 here tonight.
It's all about just trying to keep the wheels on. Oh, but that's not going to help. Ferris gets into Riddle. Doug Riddle gets collected with Ferris, and this could bring out a caution. It was a simple wheel-to-wheel climb.
Oh, but Ben Tunney just had a huge issue through the intersection. Austin Tunney's going to take over the lead. Ben's going to fall almost, looks like back to fifth, at least back to fourth. Looks like the 21 of Proctor's having some issues. Oh, we got two cars slamming into each other. Hadley's one of them. Hadley got into the back of McKinney, and he's just trying to do this.
Okay, then. That was
and that might have, with scoring down, it's been a little school bus time.
Stack up there behind Schwartz in the 51.
And that's not a great spot where those cars are, and the officials agree. Yellow flag flies.
This race is just, it's almost getting to be too much. You know, it's like.
I think the school bus just reported to dispatch it's going to be late for its pickup.
Well, the school bus got into the back of Proctor, who was into the back of Schwartz.
Has anyone else here been on a school bus during an accident?
No, never.
Just me?
No.
That's
No.
just me? Okay. My favorite part is it wasn't, well, when you're, at least the quote, wreck that I was in with the school bus, I didn't even know it happened. The school bus is pretty big, and we didn't get hit that hard, but I remember all of a sudden the driver stopped and went, "You all saw that wasn't my fault, right?" And I was like, oh, I guess we crashed.
You guys are going to be witnesses whether you like it or not.
Right.
All right, Scott, here is the time of the race that we all start paying attention to pit stops.
Yeah, but the interesting point is the lap count.
Yeah.
Even though we're near halfway, we're a little behind on the lap count. So that's really going to change things and maybe push that gap a lot farther out. They're still not going to be able to make it the whole way on fuel. So that's not going to change.
Right.
But what's changing is that window is pushing farther into the race. So now they're really just trying to zero in on the opportunity of the certain caution they think is going to do the least amount of damage to their lap count when they go in.
You just saw the replay there of where Ben Tunney lost the lead.
He had to go way outside, way wide.
He went away.
All right, well, Ben does fall back to 4th. John Connor listed as 5th in his number 20.
There goes Hadley, who had a bad intersection exchange earlier. Now just got the lucky dog and fixes that right up.
Yeah, I was going to say, unfortunately for him, was that he was back on track, right? And then he lost that lap.
Yeah.
Now what's good, and Tom, I think you can confirm for me, it looks like what we have here is correct. Is that right? Are we directly hooked up to scoring, or are we through Race Monitor on this?
That's a good question. That I don't know.
Because this seems to be updating.
And that likely is. Now I'm looking at the scoreboard over here that's updating per the computer, and that's what I saw your top 5.
Because this is so you're scoring that your folks are all seeing, which means I get to sit here with all of you to verify Hadley is 1 lap down.
Yeah, because inside the scoring tower, the scoring computer is directly connected to the timing and scoring big board for the fans out here, but also connected to the computer that runs the software for the program.
Tommy, round of applause for Speedrome.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, none of us would have this.
The Race Monitor app is going out onto the internet somewhere to hooking to the app, and that's what's not connected.
It's those dang servers, you know?
The interstate.
All right, lights out, back to green this time by, and it is 1 hour and 32 and change to go.
So,
plenty of time.
Hadley is the driver looking for a yellow because he'll be back in this race. He gets a caution before anyone else loses a lap. He is going to be the lucky dog and be back on the lead lap. 6th place driver, 5 cars on the lead lap up to this point. 4 of those drivers with the name Tunny.
It's always exciting seeing these drivers find a lane to run on these restarts as the leaders are single file. It is everything but back here.
The G4, Garrigus.
Right in front of top 5, 5th place runner Connor.
At a moment. Now, John Connor is the Terminator. Don't make him prove it. He will terminate.
Garrick gets up the track. He's having an issue in the G4 ride. Three wide into turn number 1.
Yep. Some door slamming there. The battle for the lead. Jesse Tunney all over the
trouble.
Oh, and it's going to be a stack up.
And that involves Hadley. Hadley is involved heavy right side damage. And we got 2 cars stuck. So Hadley got his caution, but at what expense?
Yeah, now we can, look like, Tommy, at least you have that shot, and then we can take it.
Greenwell,
look at on the replay.
Yeah, Greenwell going around in front of the pack. Hadley is right now going by. So there you see, every door cosmetic issues.
He got lucky that didn't take out the right rear.
He got lucky.
I mean, he would argue with us right now and say, are you seriously saying I'm lucky?
Yeah.
But
yeah, is he the one that's moved into the Chris Curtis position?
Yeah, right.
I think so. He stepped in.
Now here is that shot, and you see the damage just rip off the door there. Greenwell gets turned here. It looked like Riddle maybe wanted to make sure he got turned there. I mean, this is a on throttle.
Oh yeah.
Hello.
Oh yeah.
And you know, Hadley's watching this going, great.
Please don't, please don't.
Yeah, don't do that. And then Clark had nowhere to go here.
Yeah, these guys were just victims, Hadley and Clark, in that whole deal.
Jeez. So like I said, Hadley got his caution, but at the expense of his right side door. Hadley is still on the track trying to shake off.
He knows he doesn't need that. Now he's going to lose the side panel here too.
Yep.
Yeah, and again, he's been fast. He just seems to have not gotten into a good rhythm. He's always had to try to make up that ground and just not to be able to get in the rhythm that the guys up front are in.
So Scott, bringing up the Lucky Dog rules that we have here, looking at Sizemore's car continuing to get fixed.
Yeah, and Chad's still out of the car there. He's the one you see there in the tank top.
Good work, Wes, down there.
And you see him, he's looking over at the track right now.
Yeah, he's looking at the other cars thinking maybe I could get in one of those.
Who's got one available, yeah.
Yeah.
But so what is the rule for the Lucky Dog? Because some places it's if you're involved in the caution, which Hadley technically was.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's really as if you're the cause of the caution, or if you're off the track and you're not, when the caution comes out, you can't receive
for him
it.
Just getting door damage.
Yeah, he really wasn't. He got part of the damage in the caution, but he wasn't the reason.
The yellow.
The reason was the 51,
yeah.
And the other car tangled up. They were stopped right there. So,
I hate to point this out. Or no. Let me rephrase that. Actually, the 51 looks like he's dumping something since his wreck. Looks like fuel. Do you see that? There's a trail of fluid coming out of the 51 here.
Something. Yeah.
They might ask him to come in to check that out here.
You can see the trail behind the right rear. It makes me think that it could be fuel related. What I was gonna say is that maybe our 5 cleanest vehicles, and you see it there. Our 5 cleanest vehicles. One of those is the school bus.
Yes, yes. And we've been talking about the lucky dog. Maybe the unluckiest dogs are those ones that are riding in the windows there of the school bus.
Yeah.
They might be the unlucky dogs by the time this race
unlucky dogs. So the 51, I think, is going to make his way into the pits right now.
Yeah, Clark, one of the youngest guys in the field. He's a rookie in this race. He's 19 years old from the Washington area.
Can I give a shout out?
Yes.
To the Speedrome staff, but all of their race fans as we look high above on Henry's drone shot of this packed house at the Indianapolis Speedrome. Look at that.
Yeah,
fully wrapped around grandstands and every seat is being used.
Yeah, this year we added a lot of new seating down in the south end, and I see a lot of folks that are taking advantage of that and enjoying the view from the south end of the racetrack.
It's the Speedrome Coliseum, and this is the place to be on the World Figure 8 Championship night.
Nice.
So the 22 of Troy Hughes just pulled his car off of the track. He was our 8th place runner, 7 laps down. He was stalled on track. They assisted him. So right now, welcome back to the lead lap, Mike Hadley Jr.
Yes, and as we mentioned, is he the Chris Curtis right now who got 4 or 5 lucky dogs in a row, but it ended badly on one of the last times for Chris Curtis. So for Mike Hadley's sake, I'm hoping he changes that luck and gets back in a good rhythm.
We'll see what happens as we get ready for the restart. Just past the halfway point. At no point yet tonight have we had a red flag. So it has been an hour and 34 minutes of racing, and we have clocked an hour and 34 minutes since this event went green. So we haven't added any additional there. We'll see if that continues to be the case as we get ready to go. 1 hour and 26 minutes left.
Oh, leaning on each other into turns 1 and 2.
Are you sure? I thought, but they're tunnies. They're not going to drive each other hard, right?
Nah. They're tunnies, but they're still competitors.
So luckily for all of us on Race Monitor woke back up. We have timing and scoring there. Timing and scoring, of course, up top for all of you.
Oh, yeah. Matt Smith going for a slide.
Oh, and going for a slide is Durham. Spinning it out.
And he's going to be facing oncoming traffic. Where do you go, Durham? He's going to go around, but here comes the leaders.
Our next vehicle that is on the track that will be set up for a lucky dog, just so you all know, is the 87 of Matt Smith. He is 4 laps down. He's going to need a number of yellows and not have people lose laps, but the good news is the cars in front of him, the top 6, are good vehicles. They're not cars that we anticipate would easily lose a lap.
Yeah. Yeah, this race might see a lot of cars still in the top 10 on the lead lap by the end of it because of the rule, and I love it because it keeps that competition intense.
Curtis's car is falling apart, like ripping apart right now. And the hood of that car is trying to come off. And I don't know if this is a downforce trick that they're going to discover right now.
There it goes. Almost all the way.
What do you think Chris is thinking?
He's got fenders now.
That car is 18 laps down, sitting in the 12th position, and we have cars returning to the racetrack. Clark and Hughes are back on track, and we have one more lined up, ready to return. It is the 21 of Riddle. And suddenly the field grows once again.
Yes, it does.
Up front, we have 3 tunnies nose to tail. Austin, Jesse, and Ben. Mark has lost a little bit of the gap.
And there's the hood. The hood is at the intersection.
That might, yep, they're going to throw the yellow for that. That is a big chunk. Well, Doodle didn't care.
Nah.
He's like, why? Why do we need a yellow? So this caution is going to raise a question for me, Scott. As we get closer to the finish of this race and the cautions continue to come out, you said that they consider pitting around 300 laps.
Yeah.
What if we don't get to 300 laps? Do you stay out?
Yeah, I can't think of a time where they went the distance on fuel. But that makes an interesting point. It's got to creep into their minds. You know, if you've got a car that maybe does really good on fuel mileage, and that's something they don't get to work on normally. We have a 1 hour figure eight and a 90-minute figure eight, which they go the distance on during the season. So they don't get that many opportunities to sort of measure what they're going to do like they do in some of the bigger forms of racing in Cup or whatever, where they're constantly trying to figure out a pit cycle, you know.
They're going to look at the hood going airborne and hitting the eject button.
Goodbye.
You know, and the difference in cars, you know, with the tunnies being up front, everybody thinks, well, the tunnies, you know, they're probably all the same, you know. Other than them being related, those are 4 different tunnies driving for 4 different car owners with 3 different chassis manufacturers. So their combinations of engines and chassis are totally different from each other. So there might be one of them or a couple of them that could go different on fuel even. That might be an interesting thing, you know.
Well, Tommy, maybe you should have entered your rental car in this. That thing got pretty good mileage.
It did, but I don't know. I think it would have been run over by now.
Speaking of getting mileage, the all-time laps completed guy, Doug Gregg, 8th place.
Yeah.
From the alternate
Here he
spot.
comes. Here he comes.
Greg watch. Doug watch.
He's 9 laps down. The way we're going on pace, he'll easily get those laps back. But the problem is ahead of him is Matt Smith, who should be our lucky dog, and now 3 laps down.
Yes. Yes.
Look how clean that 33 is too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for being an alternate and being in and around everything. Now he does have the left side sail panel.
Now let's take a look at this shot here. When we get a chance here, we'll show you. There you go. Look how clean the 33 is, and then look what's driving next to him.
Right there.
Tale of 2 different races. And what did Doug say? Well, actually, I was there. I'll tell you what he said. When Doug, he was an alternate, but we're like, hey, we want to put an onboard camera on your car. And he goes, you want to watch the pits? Like,
You know, and the funny thing you point out, how clean Doug's car was, and then the look of Hadley's car next to it. Hadley's car is actually ahead of him in the race.
right.
You would think by just the photo, like, oh, that poor guy, he's probably way down in the running order.
There's no way he's in contention.
Right.
Well, keeping your car out of trouble is a big part of getting there at the end. And right now, we have those 4 tunnies up front that are doing a great job. John Connor also keeping his car intact. I noticed that it looks like the roof, oh, it is absolutely leaning. The frontal roof hair flip, if you will. And we're going back to racing. 1 hour and 20 minutes to go.
It is what it is at this point.
Don't worry about that. It's been. I think that bracket's been broken since the start of this race.
Durham leading the pack now. Durham went for a ride not too long ago. Artie Ware struggled to make it in this weekend.
Artie's going to need a lot of lucky dogs.
Yeah.
Pete Pear doing some good laps there on the piece of pie, as Tommy calls it. He's going to pull his car back into the pits. They're still working on Sizemore's car back in the pit area.
And at this point, if you're Sizemore, there's no other reason but pride to get back on the track.
Hey, if it gets you back on track, I don't care what the reason is.
And for Scott, because Scott is going to still tally the laps run.
Right.
We're looking at our Jiffy Lube double box here at the Indianapolis Speedrome. And you see the battles and you see that crossover. Intersection action.
Big brake check there for Austin. As Tunny was going through, he had to avoid some of the cars through the intersection. That allowed Jesse Tunny, but more Mark Tunny to get alongside Ben. John Connor is still right there with your top 4 Tunnies. So that 20 car is far from out of contention. It still amazes me to see Hadley on the lead lap. I know it's a little bit different this year because of the lucky dogs, but I'll take it. I love that we're going to have these cars duking it out there near the end.
I'm a fan of it.
Me too. Me too. John Connor almost just lost his rear bumper. I think it was going through the intersection, and it is now dangling on his car.
Well, that thing is hanging on by a weld.
At least it's still there.
Yeah, that's true. And it's rubbing on the right rear. So it might not be there for long, or that right rear might be deflated.
So a minor inconvenience for John Connor at the moment.
But he is on the rear bumper.
And it is gone. The rear bumper is falling off, and that's probably going to bring out a yellow. It will. And Craig Van Wettering saw the yellow come out and said, let's do some donuts. Spun out his car.
So there you see the rear bumper. The entire rear bumper has come off. The 20 of John Connor currently in 5th.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's almost like you buy it next door at Third Turn Performance. The whole hoop there. Even though it's off now, it's probably a decent thing for John because he's probably getting close to being black flagged the way it was dragging there.
And it was rubbing on the rear tire.
Yeah, that's right. It could have black flagged him and also punctured a rear tire, which would have forced him to the pits under green, which was really, a tough thing to overcome. So, but now the downside of that, he doesn't have much protection on that back end. If somebody were to slide into the back of him, if he comes to a stop, could damage the fuel cell, could push it into the rear end, and end his day early. And the bumper is not really something you replace like you do a tie rod or something.
Right.
You're not going to get the welder and the grinder out, and replace that thing.
Who needs it? Look, if they haven't black flagged Hadley yet, I think John's okay. There's every body panel of that car trying to fall off is already where pulls it into the pit area.
Yeah, and that's a tough thing for Mike Hadley, I'm sure, because Mike is one of the most meticulous in making his car look great and take care of it. So it's going to drive him absolutely nuts when he notices all the bodywork damage.
Well, all he sees out of his front windshield area is a perfectly good figure 8 car. Yeah. What he doesn't know is behind him, and let's keep it that way.
Yeah, I'm sure when he pits, his crew's not going to mention to him, hey, the car, looks kind of ratty.
Looks great.
And if we take a look at this 2 car, it's worth mentioning he's not running the usual number that we see him running.
Well, he and his brother both have cars. His brother Mason. This is actually Mason's car, and one of the cars is a 4-link suspension, and one of them is a leaf spring suspension. Mason's car was more ready to go, so he's running it. And I think he's going to decide whether he wants to stay with a leaf spring car or move to the 4-link car going forward.
Yeah. And that's kind of been what we've been seeing lately with these upgrades to these cars is everybody was a Leaf car.
Yeah.
For a while, and that was the thing. And now we're kind of updating these race cars.
And it's kind of a mix this year. It was the Leaf Spring cars maybe won a few more figure 8s during the season, but there was about the same amount of cars up front between the 2 different suspensions. So it's going to be interesting to watch over the next few years how that develops.
It will be. Looking forward to see the progression of the sport. As the lights are out, we're going to try this one again. Restart with 1 hour, 15 minutes and change left to go. Currently 203 laps in for your leaders. Austin Tunney, Jesse Tunney, and the battle for third between Ben Tunney and Mark Tunney.
Yeah, those four guys have been up there together for quite a while, Tommy. And Jesse so far is the only one yet to lead a lap.
That's a good point. So he's got to get
right
around.
there.
Yeah.
1 hour and 14 minutes left to go. Craig Van Wettering has returned to the racetrack. And there goes one of the mini Mike Hadley panels that just flew off of his car.
I asked for it, and there it is. Jesse Tunney takes the lead.
There he goes.
Austin had to hesitate at the crossover, and Jesse went right by.
So the side panel that came off of the 4 car should be far enough off the group that we might not see a yellow flag for that. The number 12 of Riddle back on track.
Connor having to snake through some lappers.
Logsdon going down another lap. And Jesse Tunney, our leader, over Austin Tunney, Ben Tunney, and John Connor. Mike Hadley on the lead lap. Matt Smith down to 2 laps down. And that is another car that I think could contend here tonight.
Yeah.
If he gets just a couple more cautions, it keeps his car clean. And the school bus car broke the right front.
Oh no, the kids and the doggies are going to be late.
Well, it was clean. I'm wondering if that was a tractor tire.
It looks to be this tractor tire is definitely moved over in turn 2.
There is a squeeze taking place here. See the tractor tire? There are your leaders. Jesse Tunney, Austin Tunney, and Ben Tunney. And they are going to be going a thick soup of intersection traffic. On the opposite side of the track, it's coming at them. They're going to be navigating this one for the next couple of laps. Here come your leaders through the intersection. You see them going on to the other side. Nose to tail, first and second and third. As it looks like Chad Sizemore, their car may be that much closer. He is in the car, helmets on. We're going to see that 91 return. You talked about pride.
Yep. If anything, oh!
That was Hadley.
Yeah, Hadley and Crane. I'm sorry, Garrigus. Wrong number 4. Clark off the track. He's into the pits. Garrigus into the side of Logsdon.
Yep. Let's take a look on the other side of the track. Your leaders right now going through the lap traffic. The 57 of Jesse Tunney leading the way. We're working by Doodle Ferris. You know, they passed Doodle initially, but he's hanging right in there. And here comes the 91 of Chad Sizemore back on the racetrack. Only a couple laps down. 69 laps down. Chad knew he had to get on track with that.
That's impressive considering how long he was in the pits, and he's only 69 laps down.
Yeah.
I feel like that one could have been 200 laps. Now he's got to find his groove.
Well, as the Tunnies are working through lap traffic right now, and Sizemore now looks like he's leading the race. This is allowing Connor to close in on the tail of this. This is going to change up your battle for the lead, side by side for the lead. Austin Tunney made a move trying to get through lap traffic, but the caution is going to come out for this.
That's Durham and Garrigus. They drive away. And around is also the 37. I'm not sure if that was related.
Oh man, 220 laps have been completed tonight.
Yeah, and I think we've seen the first of our front runners, Doug Gregg, went into the pits on that caution.
And you see
Doug worked his way up there to 7th. Now he's in the pits.
There's the replay here of what took place. If you recall, just a lap ago or a few laps before this, we saw the G4 having it out with Hadley, and then Durham got some of it.
Yeah.
We have some cars returning to the track right now as we continue on, closing in on the 1 hour to go mark. And here we have Matt Smith into the pits. Matt Smith coming in for a pit stop strategy.
Yeah, these guys have got that jack there that lifts the whole car up, and it looks like it got tangled up underneath and the guys had to pull it out. But yeah, Matt maybe made his stop. Doug Gregg came in around that time as well. I know he's a few laps behind those leaders, but he's been creeping up the leaderboard. But Matt is a lot closer than Doug. But you know, we are getting close to the 2 hour mark and 222 laps complete. So maybe he thought that was the right caution, that he could get the job done, completed in the fastest service. And if these guys are unlucky ahead of him and have a pit time that they don't get the opportunity to get out as quickly, maybe Matt could leapfrog them. You know, if you guys watch Formula One a lot, they talk about short pitting, you know, pitting before the other guys you're competing with, and maybe that could work out for Matt.
So that's the question here is, not only would he not have to pit, as you see some more cars here, that's Greenwell's number 40, the school bus car, they're working on the right front of that.
Yeah, but you know that you talk about when Vander Wettering got into that deal going into the pits, him not signaling, us joking about that.
Yes.
The school bus at least turned his lights on to let those guys know that he was heading towards the pit area. How courteous of Cody Williams.
That was very nice. So McKinney is going to get towed off of the racetrack in his 19X.
Yeah, McKinney, a rookie in the race here tonight. He just joined us this year in the late model division. His dad won Rookie of the Race back in the 80s, and he was hoping to have a better run at his rookie performance tonight, but he's had some tough luck.
Yeah. It has been one of those nights where a lot of people have had what we would define as tough luck.
Yeah, and that's going to make you wonder with those guys running out front, those 4 or 5 guys up there who've not really had that much luck, who's going to be the unlucky one in that group, if any of them? Or are they going to race their way all the way to the finish just like they've been doing?
Well, the lights are out as we get ready for the restart. As we get ready to go with 1 hour and 5 minutes left in the event. So a couple cars pit there. Perhaps some strategy. The G4's off the pace right on the restart. So something amiss on the Garrigus machine. And John Connor is making a bid for 4th. Garrigus ended up stopping over in the turn. Battle for 4th. There's Garrigus' car just sitting there. And there's John Connor all over Mark Tunney's number 3. Now Smith pitted there under yellow. We're showing that he's at least 4 laps down after that pit stop.
We got Two battles on screen. To the left, the battle for second. To the right, the battle for fourth.
That's Jesse Tunny not trying to do everything he can to keep Ben from getting an advantage here. He's going to do it with the help of Schwartz. May the Schwartz be with you.
But Ben, I thought he was going to be able to fight back there for a second, but not the case. Jesse holds on to the second spot with a nice tight grip. Mark Tunny trying to get into third if he goes in on the 5T.
Six cars on the lead lap. Hadley sits in sixth at the moment. As we mentioned, Matt Smith 4 laps down. Did take a pit stop.
Yep.
So take advantage of that. If we do see the leaders have to pit, he should be able to gain some of those laps back. And Lucky Dogs are going to be in his favor. And maybe that's why. Maybe with the Lucky Dogs this year, this is going to be your opportunity to try and pit earlier. You might be able to get some Lucky Dogs. We'll see how it all plays out as we have 63 minutes left in this race. And a lot of contenders still in it, but the one who's pulling away, the number 7 of Austin Tunny, gapping over Jesse and Ben Tunny.
Ben and Jesse kind of have a rubber band effect. They stretch out and then close back in for that battle for second.
Yeah, take a look at that as the 57 and the 5 nose to tail here. And they're having to sit through a little bit of different lap or intersection traffic than the 7 because the 7 has such a gap. So where he's going up for different situations, these two are like, no, you guys are going to stop lap traffic. Anything can happen in one of these races, and we often see it each year. Expect the unexpected. We've seen some major players have their issues. We've seen wrecks, plenty of those. But the drama is likely not done. Hughes goes for a spin over turn number 1. And he stopped.
Yeah, right in the center of the track. Taking a look there.
No, he keeps it rolling now.
And the battle for the second spot continues.
Jesse versus Ben. Oh yeah.
And it still continues, but here comes Mark. A 3-car battle for the second spot. Just like that intersection giveth, and it can taketh away.
That's right. Who have I heard that from?
I think Tori, the voice of the Speedrome.
So with that, 2nd through 4th, make it 2nd through 5th, are all together. Your leader in the 7 has been able to pull away a little bit.
There he is up front, and he's got a little bit of traffic still to pick off before, no, I lied. He's got a group of cars in front of him. And then it gets hot and heavy.
Now the thing that we're going to be paying attention to because of the Lucky Dogs now in play,
who falls a lap down?
Is who falls a lap down. Now the next driver that would be at risk of losing 1 lap is Mike Hadley. He is the 6th car and the last car on the lead lap. He has right now about, I'm going to call it a full figure 8 straightaway on your leader. Now that gap can be eliminated very quickly if you have to start blowing up for other cars, other intersection traffic, and with 1 out, oh boy.
The 42 and the G4.
That was weird.
That was. I think they saw each other and said, nah, I'll go around.
Probably for the best. The clock is ticking. You see it at the top right. 1 hour left in the 2023 3-hour World Figure 8 Championships at the Indianapolis Speedrome.
You can see the madness all over the racetrack. Oh, trouble turned him on there 3.
And that is a big stack up. Who's involved in this one?
It looks like Garrigus, Clark, and
Is that Riddle?
the 20.
Yeah, it's
12. I'm sorry, the 12 of Riddle. 21.
21.
One of those 2 and 1s.
You see something, Scott?
Hit. Hit.
Leaders are
And
pitting.
they're pitting.
All right, so let's see if we can get our drone over the pit area when you can, as I see it about to knock me in the noggin.
Top 4 pitted. Austin, Ben, Jesse, and John Connor all pitted right there. Mark Tunney stayed on the track.
Strategy.
Yeah. Let's all see how it plays out. So you see the pit area is busy.
Here
they
we
come.
go. Wes getting right in there with his wireless shot as he's taking a look. This is Ben Tunney's team, changing out the rear tires. You see the front's ready to go on. And remember, the laps are counting. So as these caution laps move along, drivers like Matt Smith, who pitted earlier, took that chance.
Guys, with these guys all pitting together, and they've stayed so close this whole race, this pit stop may be a crucial point in one of them either gaining an advantage or losing some ground to the other guys. Because they don't normally do these pit stops. This is a once-a-year thing.
Yeah.
So there's not practice and perfection like there is in other forms of auto racing.
So there we see 2 pit stops going on at once. See the 7 of Austin Tunney. Bottom right, he's pulling away. It looks like he might beat Ben Tunney to the exit, and that would put him ahead of Ben. John Connor was the first one out.
Yes, Connor's out. As Jesse came back, Austin looks like he's going to be the first of the second of that group.
How about that?
Yeah, Connor vaulted from 4th up to 2nd now because Mark Tunney stayed on track.
Yep.
But Connor passed the other 3 that came in with him. Austin came out 2nd, and we yet to see Jesse and Ben come back out.
So if Henry can fly to that pit exit,
And these are laps that they're losing too.
Yes,
you can see them
because
leaving.
Austin and Connor made a full lap before Ben and Jesse came out. So they gained a lap on those 2 right there. And then I think Connor and Austin lost a lap to Mark while they were all in the pit area.
So all this is going to update once these cars cross the line. Pit stops at the 3-hour. You always love them. Figure 8 World Championships. This is a big part of the game here as we are going.
Yeah, now we got to watch to see if Mark, it was a mistake that he didn't go in there with them. Because now maybe we have a long green flag run and he missed his opportunity. So that's something to watch here.
Hadley also looks like he pulled out. So taking a look, it looks like Hadley also pitted in that group. Now,
yeah, Matt Smith jumped Hadley in that situation.
so we'll,
Garrigus.
yeah, the front end of this car is so wiped out right now, the G4.
It looks more like a snowplow than it does a bumper.
Welcome to Indianapolis. 55 minutes left. So with just 55 minutes to go, we are seeing how things are going to play out here. Mark Tunney is your leader. John Connor is in second. Connor, as they cross the line, is 1 lap down. With him 1 lap down is Austin Tunney. And then 2 laps down, you have Jesse Tunney and Ben Tunney. Matt Smith sits 3 laps down. Now this is the problem for Matt, is that he's going to be multiple laps down. And now he's got more cars ahead of him that are lap down. So it's going to take him a little bit longer to get any of those laps back.
And I want to point out that Austin Tunney is leaking a tremendous amount of fuel through these corners. Not only did they top it off, but did they get the gas cap all the way on. Watch on these right-hand turns.
Watching the 7. Oh yeah, you can see it pouring out. The question is it overflow or, like you said, a loose cap? They're not often seen a lot of that. John Connor just got hit. Maybe the right front was an issue. He hit Doodle Ferris going through the intersection. I think he just locked up the right front. And we have a car stopped on pit road trying to get off of track exit. And the yellow will fly for that. Now what will we see happen?
All right, let's take a look at get an overhead shot of the pits.
That contact, by the way, may have bumped Austin Tunney ahead of John Connor. John Connor.
Oh, there's a crash right as the 48 and 99 making contact separately from this incident.
Yeah, guys, now if Mark decided this was going to be his caution to pit, he can't because the gate's blocked.
Yep. So to add to
He's coming. Mark Tunney's coming.
It cleared up just as he got there. Now he's going to see if he could cycle in evenly on his pit stop with that situation. You know, and the other interesting thing to watch, we didn't get that long of a run, but whether those new tires were going to make that much of a difference on those guys behind him.
Yep.
But Mark had clean air, and he was rocketing away a little bit. Now the pressure's on his crew to see if they can match up. And look at this. We got a great shot right here in his pit area.
Yes, we do.
They're going with 4 tires here. Got 4 guys on all 4 corners. This should be a pretty good pit stop as long as they get them on and off fast. Front's off, right front's off. They're having a little trouble on the left front there. Now they've got it off. Nope, it's still on. Now it's off. You see where they got the air jack plugged in the passenger side there to lift the whole car. This car's got air jacks on it. They fueled it in the back. They're now finished on the rear. You see the 2 guys in the rear raise their hands up that they're done, and he's out.
And here he comes off of pit road.
Oh, the quick pit stop right there.
Yeah, he lost 1 lap to the guys on track, so he should be on the same lap then as Austin and maybe Connor.
Now the question's going to be,
if Connor didn't lose anything.
do they wait to award the lucky dog until after the pit stops or before? Because if it's after,
that's right. Austin would have been the guy that was available because he was, or Austin or Connor. Well, it would have had to been Austin.
Austin was ahead of Connor. Yeah.
So he might have vaulted ahead of him.
Yeah.
That's an interesting situation.
Yeah.
Right?
So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, when we go green back here on the monitor, it'll get caught back up to see if Austin and Mark are on the same lap or if Austin got an advantage out of that deal.
All righty.
And another weird deal, since the leader pitted, Austin and them are buried in the middle of the field. They're not at the front. So that's going to make an interesting restart with the leaders buried in the pack.
You're not kidding. In fact, I think our leader cam probably doesn't even know where the leaders are right now. So good luck for everybody. 51 minutes to go. Sizemore has a slide through, but he is not your leader right now. John Connor crosses the line. He has scored your leader in the number 20. The 7 of Austin Tunney, the 3 of Mark Tunney. Those are your 3 lead lap cars. Right now fighting for the lucky dog will be, and I'm going to get clarification as I cross the line here, Ben Tunney, 1 lap down, fighting with Jesse Tunney, 1 lap down. Matt Smith sits 2 laps down with Hadley, 2 laps down. Your top 7 are all within 2 laps. And John Connor's roof is giving up more and more right now.
Yeah, just hanging on.
I mean, now the question is that going to be something that they might say, hey, you can't continue with this? I'm glad we didn't put the GoPro on that.
But it's a great advertisement for Speedrome.tv.
Yes, it is. Oh, man. So that's your battle for the lead, the 20 and the 7. Mark Tunney a little bit further back in the pack, separated from that group.
Oh, that roof. Oh, that roof.
Speedrome.tv. How do you manage this guy to just, oh, John Connor gets into Garrigus in front of the field and a huge hit for Matt Smith. as he drove up and over another car and landed. It was Sean Sinakosoff that he drove over, and he landed on almost on top of his competitor. That was huge. What is it with Matt Smith driving over people in these races? Can I ask that question? Is that an appropriate time to ask? Hopefully, of course, we're going to check in on our drivers here.
Now, also involved, and I don't know if it was involved, but the G4 of Garrigus having an issue on the backside of the track.
Well, that was a car that Matt Smith nearly landed on top of.
Sean's going to drive away, it looks like now. Does the same happen for the 87? Look at that air cleaner, just completely.
I think Matt's just like, did I land on the moon? Where am I right now? Holy cow. Now that's going to be a heck of a thing to look back at. And again, we keep discussing this. So that was off of some contact as Matt Smith is climbing out of his car. That was John Connor that had to climb it.
They're looking at the replay here. So the G4 goes around and the 87.
Yeah, and looking at the scoring here, you guys have been talking about Connor, Austin, and Mark up there. Ben was one lap down in fourth. Oh, that was a big hit.
Yes, it was.
Wow.
I thought I was about to see my first Outlaw car flip over here.
Yeah, as Matt was going towards the G4, the 15 of Sinakosoff went underneath Matt. Watch this. And Matt's car just ramps off the right or left front of Sinakosoff and almost landed in the lap of Garrigus.
Anyone else hear the Dukes of Hazzard horn going off right now?
There's a good old Matt.
Well, there's Matt walking away from the wreckage. His car being towed back. I don't imagine that this is going to end Matt's night. We'll see, obviously, the extent of the damage.
Yeah.
It didn't even seem like that thing would refire, but obviously Matt was right on the verge of getting those last few lucky dogs to be on the lead lap, and this is going to end that run for him.
Well, and it looks like Ben is going to get that lucky dog that we were talking about. Oh, we lost our advertisement.
Oh,
John
Speedrome TV, our product placement is laying on the ground.
Now the worry is our camera gone with that roof too?
No, our camera's right there.
All right, good.
Oh, nice.
Like I said, I'm glad we didn't put the camera on the roof. But why is John sitting here is the question. That was our leader.
That is the roof, though.
John is rolling. The official was kind of indicating something like, what am I doing with this guy? And now the next question is going to be, where the heck is John going to line up after all this? Because, again, Connor was our leader.
Yeah, and with Ben getting that lucky dog, we have Smith back in the pit area.
Oh, yeah,
here.
there he is. So, I mean, that car might be able to continue.
Yeah, I think from the angles we saw, it looked like the front wheels were turning sort of different directions there. So.
Oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
See, that all happened for me so fast when I was filming it. I didn't realize that was the G4 that he ran into.
Yeah.
I just was like, oh, look at the G4 having an issue. Well, he was the issue.
Yeah, so now if Ben did get the lucky dog, we had those guys spread apart, with different guys on different laps, and they're all now coming back together onto the same lap. Mark or Jesse now is the next one that could be taking advantage of that, is he'll move into that lucky dog spot after they had elevated Ben, I believe.
So the call here, it looks like, is that John is going to be restarting well in the back of the field. He is going to now be third. Our leader is going to be Austin Tunney.
Interesting.
Ben Tunney is going to be, Mark Tunney is still a little mid-pack. And there is your lucky dog, the number 5 of Ben Tunney, getting it back. So Ben is back on the lead lap. That's 4 cars on the lead lap.
And now with a little luck, Jesse could be the next lucky dog. And we had those guys spread apart after their pit stops, and they're going to all come back together here shortly.
We're 269 laps into this race. We have 45 minutes to go. What's the least amount of laps a 3 hours had? I know that's a tough one with weather, but
yeah. Well, we had in the 290 version in the late 80s, so we're going to easily get past that. That was a little different format then. We may get in the upper 300s, close to 400, but I don't think we're going to make it on this page.
Scott still thinks we're getting to 400, Tom.
That's impressive.
That's
so.
optimistic.
I agree with Scott, though.
The 400 lap club is a stat that's out there. It's something I came up with when I was like 10 years old.
Okay.
And now has developed into a big thing. So it's kind of my thing. So I hope we get there.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I see.
Maybe we need to go to overtime.
We will see what happens here with 45 minutes left on the clock. And your leader is now the 7th of Austin Tunney. So there's going to be your leaders up front, and there's going to be a battle for third taking place between John Connor in the 20 and the 5 of Ben Tunney.
And here they are, going into turn number 1, and they're in a lot of traffic.
They're talking about tire strategy and anything like that. Really not much of a conversation because Mark pitted, I think, 1 or 2 green flag laps after the other cars had pitted. There's really no difference on the tires. So what we're going to be looking at is it's all going to be about track position and getting to the end as John Connor and Ben Tunney almost have an issue.
Yeah,
right
there was a body slam with Schwartz. Connor goes up the track and Ben had to avoid. But they keep it going for that battle for second.
The night continues to be not a good one for Durham as he pulls his car off of the racetrack and into the pits. Oh, some contact with Van Wettering. And John Connor right in the middle of all that with Ben Tunney. Now again, sitting on track, you'll see a 57 behind leader Austin Tunney's number 7. Now Jesse is 1 lap down. He is hoping for a caution that'll put him back on the lead lap. And then he's just got to hope that he can make up a lot of ground because at this point there is a lot of lap traffic in between your leaders. John Connor's hoping for the same thing right now. Let's get through these lap cars so on the next restart we're going to be that much closer.
Oh, but a stack up with Larson and Connor and Tunney.
And these drivers are not going to be patient.
No.
It is go time if there ever was one. Or maybe I should say if there ever wasn't one in this race. We've been going since the beginning of it.
And is a 5 off the pace? Ben Tunney.
Ben Tunney.
Off the pace.
Something wrong with Ben Tunney. A winner of this race, but not tonight it looks like, as his car is going to be sitting there maybe until the next caution. It looked like he was starting to lose ground to John Connor, but I thought maybe the 20 had just made a few moves to pull away from him. But Ben Tunney's night is over, and we have one car that almost didn't turn. It's the 21 of Riddle that just went straight. Oh, and your leader just got hit in the intersection.
Ripped off a rear bumper. We stay green for the moment. The bumper is laying on the track, the corner piece of the bumper. Right there.
Barely.
That's how close it was for your leader.
Barely got away with it. That was almost the end of the night there for 2 Tunneys in the span of 5 laps. Ben's car sits idle over on the back straightaway. No signs of power from that car. And as we say, you are never safe as the caution flag comes out, maybe for that debris. You are never safe. It doesn't matter if you're leading or in the back, anywhere on this track. If you're on this track, you're going through that intersection 2 times a lap. And for Austin, that was almost the end of his night.
Yes, a very close call, clipping the back bumper there. 6 inches one way, they don't touch. 6 inches the other way, the rear end gets knocked out from underneath the car. And the Ben Tunney situation, that tells you it's probably mechanical, because if it was tires or suspension, he would have drove into the pit area to try to get repairs. The fact that he coasted onto the backstretch would tell you, you know, it's either mechanical, electrical, something, because he's got no power.
Here's the replay of Austin's moment. Oh, that was Doug Gregg, by the way.
Yeah, and he was so close to the car in front of him on the front end, he almost got clipped on the front and back bumper. Watch him lock it up and slide through here.
Oh, man, navigating.
Wow, he was turning that car as he was locking the brakes up to miss Artie as he was getting clipped in the back end.
Now, to be fair, I feel like out of all the tunnies currently racing tonight, that would happen to him.
Yes.
Austin Scott, he's the next driver with no fear in the tunny family.
His nickname is Flirting with Disaster, which he was definitely flirting with disaster.
Okay, so we have Durham pitting here. Obviously, this isn't so much of a, I was going to say so much of a fast tire pit stop. You know, Durham's many laps down. But who gave him the nickname Flirting with Disaster? That's got to be one of the longest nicknames I've ever heard. When I saw it written down, I'm like, dear Lord.
Well,
it's true.
His dad was the man with no fear because he rarely stopped at the crossover, so he would tend to win a lot, but he would also tend to crash a little bit more than normal.
Right.
Austin is probably the one son of the three of Bill that was closest to Bill.
Yes.
Austin will go for about anything in the crossover, and sometimes it bites him,
There's Matt
as you've just seen before. So Flirting with Disaster sort of just a pawn off of the man with no fear.
It makes sense.
Ben Tunney's car in the pit area.
Yeah, and he's pulled straight in where they pushed him in, not in the slot horizontal like they would if they were changing something. They're looking under the rear end.
Yeah, his helmet's off. He knows that his night is possibly done here.
Hey guys, and Jesse Tunney did just get that lucky dog.
Yes, he did.
So now we got 4 guys again back on the lead lap.
4 cars on the lead lap. We added another Tunney to it, and what that will do is it's going to open up the door for Hadley to potentially get his laps back if we get 2 more cautions over the span of the next 38 minutes. The plot thickens.
Oh, it does. I'm a fan of these wave arounds.
Me too. To me, it just adds to the competition level. Keeps these drivers on edge. We don't have drivers going, I got 2 laps.
And the reality, too, is we're seeing just about the same amount of cars on the lead lap at the end of this race right now than we would in other times. It's just the way you catch these cautions.
All right, so your top 2 cars right now on the racetrack as Durham's going to pull it back into the pits are first and second. That is the 7 of Austin Tunney and the 3T of Mark Tunney. We talked about the big gap between the leaders and John Connor. There is now only 1 lapped car between John Connor and your leaders. John Connor is coming.
He's got Hadley, the one that you just talked about, in front of him.
Yep, Hadley 2 laps down. The next car to get any laps back. After that, it is 6th place. Hear me? The alternate, Doug Gregg.
Wow. It's not a surprise, but it still is.
You know the driver I'm most surprised about is Troy Hughes is sitting in the 7th position, and I feel like that car has just had not a good night at all. But he's been completing the laps. He's just been quietly completing these laps. So.
And he's got all 4 corners on it still, and that's really what it takes.
Yep.
So you see Doug Gregg on the right side of your screen. He's mastering through this traffic. He's got Jesse Tunney on his rear bumper, though. Jesse running in 4th, trying to pick up some track position. And Ben Tunney still under work in that pit area.
So they're working on something in the, it looks like in the left rear.
Yeah, maybe on the axle or something of the rear end there. Maybe it broke something in the, looks like a broken axle. Look at Pete Bear.
Oh yeah, speaking of, we got Pete Bear sitting there in the 24 in a precarious spot. A spot that just might and will bring out the yellow.
Mike Hadley says thank you very much.
Yes, he does.
Mike Hadley is just 1 lap down now.
Okay, we all love these free passes.
Yeah.
But at this point, do the cars on the lead lap not love it anymore? They loved getting the beneficiary of it.
Yeah, they want that to stop.
Yeah, please. Can we change the rule right now with
you will
35?
always, but you'll always have that with a rule like this, where you're going to have people that love it and people that are like, why? That's not how we do it. That's not traditional.
But even behind those guys getting back into the mix the old-fashioned way, you were talking about Troy Hughes moving into 7th is pretty wild. As Ben Tunney drops down the order, Zach Larson's getting ready to jump up into 8th. He's sort of been under the radar. And Lee Schwartz, who was in several things early that we thought were out, he's potentially getting ready to move into 9th place when Ben drops farther, with Doodle Ferris not far behind them. And I've seen Doodle parked at the crossover a half a dozen times.
I was going to say, if you told me Doodle was 11th, I wouldn't believe you.
Right.
I'd be like, well.
So these guys are persevering in this back half of the top 10 and having great runs at the same time that we're seeing this 4 and 5 car battle up on the lead lap.
There's Ben Tunney out of the car, looking over what could have been for that 5T. Ben, an incredibly passionate individual when it comes to figure 8 racing, the betterment of the sport, what tracks, drivers, crews, fans, everybody combined can do better to help the sport grow. But his night's going to end early here.
And Wes doing a great job down in that pit area. I mean, he's got to watch all 4 corners of himself down there, and he's getting right in the middle of the action. We got an A-plus team here tonight. Speedrome TV bringing it to you. Part of Low Budget TV's coverage of the World Championship 3-hour endurance race.
We have 34 minutes left to go in this event. And there is a long way from here to the end. A lot still to play out as our side-by-side cars come to the green. Austin Tunney leading, Mark Tunney in second, and John Connor is with your leaders. 3-car battle for the lead. 2.5 hours into this race.
Still so much to watch. So I'm going to zoom in on the 57 of Jesse Tunney because he's still trying to fight through traffic to get up to your top 3.
Yeah, he's going to have some work to do. The driver who just wants to make sure he doesn't get knocked out of it at this point is going to be Hadley. He's relying on another caution to come out.
And here he comes into the frame. So Hadley, it looks good on one side, not so much on the other. But it's all part of the survival. Is Hadley, who's the next eligible waiver or lucky dog? Free pass.
So many things playing out here. We have a few cars that, or at least one car that's looking ready to return to the track. Well, when they let them on the track.
Jesse is coming though. 57 on a charge.
Yes, he is.
He's trying to get by Mike Riddle. He does. He's got to get by Hughes, and then he will be at the battle.
So what we get to find out here is who's maybe been holding that one last ace up their sleeve. If anybody. Who has what it takes? Who wants it more to be the 2023 champion of this race?
Jesse's got to get by the 22 of Hughes.
Your leaders get wound up a bit with some lap traffic. And that allowed Mark Tunney to get right on the rear bumper of the 7 of Austin Tunney.
Oh, trouble in the intersection.
And Rod Proctor and a big hit to follow it up as Doug Gregg gets slammed again by the 49 of Craig Van Wettering.
And that involves Doug Gregg. Heavy driver's side impact.
Now, Chad Sizemore was not involved in this one. I think he just came over to check in on the number 33.
Yeah, that's what he did. Doug Gregg, as far as I can remember, I've never seen Doug Gregg in a crossover crash, and he hit and sort of veered off there quickly And Chad noticed that he sort of, in a weird way, moved over there. So Chad went over to check him out. And that's brought the red flag out.
This is our first red flag of the night, and this was the biggest hit of the night that we've seen. Rod Proctor was our initial car.
Proctor and Greg, yes. And then Vander Wettering, I think, caught a little bit of it on Doug's ricochet there and sent him out to that side.
Now, right now, they are calling the crews over to both cars right now. Both Proctor and Greg are going to be just checked out, make sure everything's all right with these drivers. Crews are running out with some waters for the competitors. And again, the clock has stopped for the first time tonight. 30 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. And obviously our concerns are with both of our drivers, Rod Proctor in the 21 and Doug Gregg. We'll hold off on a replay, make sure that our drivers are doing all right. Obviously a hit like that is going to hurt, but for Doug, you worry about the second hit after the car's been compromised after the first one.
Yeah, it didn't look like, with the suspension being broken, that he had much control over the car on the rebound there with the second hit. Sometimes on the first one, these guys could turn the car in ways to lessen damage on the first hit because they usually get a chance to see it. But the second one, the car looked like, with the suspension compromised, was a little out of his control.
This is part of figure eight racing. There's an intersection, and at times that, technically at any time that this could happen.
Yeah.
And we'll, as I'm just looking to see our clock, it looks like it stopped at 29 minutes and 45 seconds. But yeah, no, it's, this is a red flag. I will mention that this is going to be the caution that's going to bring Hadley back on the lead lap.
Yes, and another deal, with the modern last few years era of the tire deal, they've got a limit on tires. So these guys have already put on their second set of good tires. They don't have a third option, where in the past it was unlimited tires, so one of these guys may have had a third set or a fourth set, laying around, where now they could go in and try to turn the tables in their favor. They've all played their card and put their last new set of tires on and fueled up. So that's why you're not seeing any of those four guys up front, sort of go in to do anything, because there's nothing they can really do to take advantage of the red flag situation.
So we are under the red flag here at the Indianapolis Speedrome as we tend to both the drivers. Again, Rod Proctor is the car sitting in the intersection right now with a medical crew. Doug Gregg is over to the right of your screen in the 33. He got hit twice in the intersection, and we are checking in on those drivers.
So this figure eight racing, it becomes real fast here.
Yeah, another interesting time for these guys up here battling for the lead.
Yeah.
They've really got as they're sitting there, they're really getting a chance to evaluate their situation.
Mm-hmm.
The last, half hour, 45 minutes of when we had a caution, it was one of them getting the lucky dog, and they were just sort of in the moment trying to figure out how they were going to get from the back of the pack to the front. Now they're all sitting there almost bumper to bumper, the four of them, and really getting a chance to evaluate their last segment of this race.
So the safety crews tending to both Greg and Rod Proctor, Doug Gregg and Rod Proctor, getting the attention by the fire rescue team here at the track.
Yeah, and that's the important part right now. The race is on hold for a good reason, and the safety of those guys is the number one thing that they're worried about right now. And if that takes a little time, that takes a little time.
And Van Wettering, he drove it off the track with heavy right front damage, but he's still able to drive off.
Yeah, and he was just, like I said, he ended up being a part of the second part of that accident. It was really out of his control. you know, a tough deal, unlucky for Doug there. Doug just climbed his way all the way up to 6th place after being the first alternate, and had such a great run going like he normally does, just keeps accumulating those laps and moving up the leaderboard. So a tough and unlucky deal there for Doug. And of course Proctor, who's had a few things to overcome here tonight too, had some troubles, and was just trying to persevere for a great finish after having a little bad luck during the early stages.
So we can tell you that Rod Proctor is out of the car, currently sitting on a stretcher, communicating with the medical staff.
Yeah, that's great to see there. Just being cautious with him as they tow his car off the track there. But him, like you said, getting out of the car is definitely a positive sign, as they still are tending to Doug Gregg over there in the north end of the track.
You know, in some cases, obviously, we won't speculate on what's going on, but a lot of times precautionary.
Yes.
You know, you just there's no reason to rush any of this right now. This is that moment where it's like we can pause.
Yes.
We need to pause, take care of our drivers, make sure everyone's doing all right.
Yeah, because, you know, there are times, you know, where you can rush yourself out of the car, you know, without taking a moment to evaluate the situation, and could make things worse. The crowd giving Rod Proctor a big hand as he's heading off the track.
Yep.
Right there on the medical cart. Good to see him get out of there.
Now we can also update you. Doug Gregg is also now out of the car. He's on a stretcher. He is moving his arms. It seems like he's communicating with the medical staff as well.
Yeah, that's good. And like you said, they're just taking their time, being patient and evaluating all of his situation without, you know, having him get out of the car too soon.
Yeah. And both of these guys, longtime racers, you know, there comes a point as a driver where, you know, if you take a hit, you know, there might be it's like, you know, that didn't feel very good. So,
yeah.
You know, so and like we said for Doug, he took 2 major hits here, but good to see that as far as the, you know, again, our drivers communicating, there's movement there, you know, they are both conscious and having that. So that's kind of that first sign of like, where are we at right now? And that's good to see for both.
And another reason for them taking the time to evaluate, this is our longest race of the season. So, you know, these guys have went farther, and, you know, they're a little bit more wear and tear on their bodies and their cars that they get from a normal night of racing. So, you know, it just may take them a few moments to really evaluate them after being in the car here for 2.5 hours, you know, to really get an honest evaluation of how he's doing.
Yep. So what we're going to do is we are going to, since we see what's going on here on track, we're going to, hi, Tommy. We're going to take a look here at the replay at what took place to bring up this. Now, here's the cars coming through. You're going to see some contact and the big hits. And then here comes the second hit. That's Doug Gregg's number 33. And if we slow this down right here, Rod Proctor gets clipped. He turned it left, seen what was coming, and he bounced off of another car, and that sent his car right in.
Yeah, a definite chain reaction where a smaller incident turned into a bigger incident because it changed the pattern of him coming through the crossover. So Doug had to adjust from that because he thought Rod was going to come through in a different manner, but he got into that first accident, which triggered the second one that put him in the path of Van der Wettering. Now that we know we've seen it, a third tangle there. And
I'll see if we can cue up maybe a shot from the intersection shot just of that initial contact. Just, again, that was the first big hit. Thankfully, again, we have some great drivers here tonight. You saw the avoidance. Oh, that's a big hit there, and then Doug Gregg getting slammed there again.
The second one was really hard as well. Yeah, look how solid a hit that was.
The car stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
that one was just, and you know, Doug Gregg's contact was in the similar place on his car from both cars.
Right.
Yeah, that's
double hit. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I say, don't want to speculate on, you know, what's ailing him at this moment, but it seemed like both of those contacts were made in the same area of the car, you know, kind of behind the wheel of the driver's side of the car.
So our first red flag was a lengthy one here. As, again, you see the clock, 30 minutes, 30 seconds left to go on that one. They are now finishing up cleanup as we are going to get the rest of the 33 of Doug Gregg off the racetrack. As we discussed, up until this wreck, as an alternate, Doug was having a phenomenal night.
Yeah, he was running 6 at the time.
And a massive incident here on in the intersection between Rod Proctor, who traveled all the way out from Southern California for this event. This was, I think he was looking at this, and a lot of his team was as their redemption for 2018, as we discussed.
Yeah.
The rain knocked out their whole week, and they had to go home.
Yeah.
And they finally got to make the trip back out here, and unfortunately, it's going to end like that.
Yeah, and you know, figure 8 racing is a tough sport. You know, you're challenging the crossover twice every lap, and these guys run thousands and thousands and thousands of laps over their career. So, you know, the odds are at times that's going to happen because, as you mentioned earlier, these are 2 super veteran drivers that have been racing for decades, you know, on the racetracks, you know.
Right.
So sometimes it just works out that way, you know, and ends up in a wreck, you know. It just sometimes just happens.
There's not going to be much left of the left front of Doug Gregg's car.
Yeah. You know, and then we talked about these guys reevaluating their situation up front as they're, you know, getting ready to resume the battle. Now their cars have been sitting here for a while. These cars are hot. They're tired. They've been running for two and a half hours. And meanwhile, while their cars are hot and everything, the tires have been getting cool.
Right.
Sitting there this whole time.
Yeah, when you introduce,
Yeah, and the track is cooler, and it's probably greasy because of all the action and stuff on it and leaking. So it's going to be interesting to see how they take off here the next 10, 15 laps after the resumption.
Yeah, when you introduce those heat cycles in these tires, the tires kind of can have a totally different feel immediately or later on.
Yeah. And the sets they've got on are not super old because they've all pitted, you know, in the last half an hour of racing action. So it's not like they're worn out. They've just changed their heat cycle.
Maybe the drivers are. You think they might be worn out by now.
Yeah. Yeah, because at time when the race is moving along, they probably don't think as much as how tired they are when they're sitting still during a red flag like this. But they all did get some water from the track officials and things. So
that's very nice.
Yeah. And now we're getting to a spot here where the car count on track is getting to the point where we may fire this back up and it may go the distance all the way to the end because when Austin won it the last time in 2016, they ran 55 straight minutes at the end of the race because it had cleared out a little bit. So we may be in that situation again where these guys are just in a dead sprint here for the last 30 minutes.
It'll be interesting to see, following this red flag, how many cars do make it back onto the racetrack.
Yeah, that's true. A few guys had a chance to work on a few things.
So we'll see what.
And as we talked about early on when we first brought up the Lucky Dog, we've never had more than 2 cars on the lead lap in this race in its 46-year history. So all of a sudden here we are 30 minutes out and we've got 4 guys on the lead lap and we got a 5th guy who's just picked up 1 Lucky Dog and is another Lucky Dog away from joining them. So we could go from never having more than 2 to all of a sudden having 5 cars battling at the end. So we could be in unprecedented territory here.
Well, and we figured it, like it's always, there's always, I feel like, going to be an asterisk starting on this year that this is, this with the Lucky Dog in play.
Yeah.
That always needs to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, what this does do is this is the rule that everyone went into. They all know the rule, and it means that, again, everybody's right together. We're going to have here a race to this finish.
The top 4 are in the top 6 cars on this restart. Only a couple of lap cars around them. And then, as you mentioned, Hadley's going to get one of those laps back here.
I think he'll be on the lead lap.
Yeah, and with the field the way it is, he's not going to be that far behind, being at the tail.
Right.
The car with 2 halves.
Two-face?
Two-face.
So we do have a line of cars ready to re-enter the racetrack. See, when you looked up, I know it was to look at the drone.
I literally thought there was fireworks behind me.
I'm used to, not used to, but there are the occasional times where we're standing on this platform looking up because we're making sure it's not raining.
Yeah.
Not this year. Beautiful weather all weekend long.
I can see the stars.
And
How
with us
beautiful.
having the drone landing spot behind us, I feel the breeze on my legs every
Yeah.
time it takes off. So I'm like, it's back.
Oh, Hadley just hit Austin Tunney.
Oh, Austin was warming his tires
He
up.
was warming
and
his
Hadley
tires
was
up.
being sent around as the lucky dog.
Yeah, I mean, I say Hadley hit him. They both hit each other.
Yeah. But obviously, we can't tell any damage on Hadley's car because it's
We'll
already
never know.
pretty damaged.
That's a good point. There comes a point where you just can't damage a car anymore.
Yeah. His left rear quarter panel's not bad. Other than that,
It's all bad.
yeah.
All right, well, the way that these red flags work, we haven't had one yet tonight, so this will be our first time to explain this. They will not open up the pit area or the track entrance until we go green.
Yeah, and even though the lights have gone back to yellow, this is not yellow with the clock running. This yellow is to make sure they got the field in the correct order before they come back to green. And as you mentioned, when they do go back to green, any of the cars that are lined up at the gate from the red flag will be released to join the field.
All right, it will be a 30-minute duel to get us to the finish of this race. Cars ready to return onto the racetrack. And we are green. All right, it's going to be Matt Smith. The school bus is back in town. Sizemore, oh, Smith actually shut off going through the intersection, and that was almost very unideal. Sean Sinakosov, we saw him get driven over as a ramp. And the 99 of Puckett back on the racetrack.
Smith, he's still not able to get by. Oh, now
Stuff's coming off of that car.
Yeah, something's wrong. They thought they had it fixed until it was time.
All right, your battle for the lead. There it is. Austin Tunney and Mark Tunney. John Connor not too far behind, and making a move for the battle for third is Jesse Tunney. So we have a battle up front and a battle for third. Side-by-side battle for third taking place right now.
And they got to get around the 99 of Puckett.
Connor washed wide, had to get around the 99. Your leaders are going through traffic because of the re-entries. Oh, we have one car that climbed. It was Limbach in the 37. He climbed over the 51 of Schwartz. Just a little contact. Those two continued on. Seen a few cars go for that ride here tonight.
Connor's still ahead of Jesse Tunney, and they're both trying to close into the rear bumper of Mark Tunney.
Gotta wonder about the distraction now, though, for John Connor. He can't just focus forward.
Yeah.
Also has to play that defense to make sure that the 57 of Jesse isn't going to find his way by.
It's just about a clear track for your leader right now.
Yep. You see the double box here. There's your leader working on the lap car of Larson. And there is John Connor, who's driven away from Jesse Tunney and is closing in on Mark Tunney right now.
Mark's got to deal with Larson. Once he gets by, we'll see if there's a gap that grows or shrinks. Connor's going to get by Larson in this corner, but it looks like the 20 is reeling in your second spot runner. Connor closing in on Mark Tunney. And he could be bringing along the 57 of Jesse Tunney.
The school bus has stopped to let the intersection traffic go through. The question will be if he can refire. He does. The top 4 cars, there is no lap traffic between them.
Now looks like Connor's lost time and is on the front bumper of Jesse Tunney. Battle for third.
You know, we talk about the importance of not giving up in this race. I believe it was like within the first minute of this race, Artie Ware pulled his car off and immediately went down a bunch of laps. He is 54 laps down, and he is looking like he might finish in the top 10 tonight. Sitting 12th right now, closing in on Ben Tunney. And with Doug Gregg out, likely only a matter of time before enough laps click over as the battle for third will go to Jesse Tunney.
Connor slides up the track. That opened the door for Jesse Tunney and new third spot runner.
Jesse had to come fight his way through traffic to get by John Connor. That might be the best car out here right now.
We'll see if Mark has anything for the 7 of Austin Tunney, and does Jesse reel in the both of them in his 57 car.
Mark Tunney had a struggle through the intersection that time, lost some time to Austin Tunney's number 7. But Austin is about to be in a big pack of lap traffic. And he's being held up right now by Puckett. This is going to allow Mark Tunney to reel him back in. Connor has lost the tail of the 57 of Tunney. That being, I should clarify, Jesse Tunney. And Jesse is closing in on Mark.
And they're all in traffic now, so they got to pick and choose their lane correctly.
Got to be methodical, got to be careful. Don't take yourself out of it. You have 25 minutes until the end of this race. You're in the running. Don't lose it now.
And still, some races here at the Speedrome take 25 minutes to do a regular feature.
Yeah. Yep. So, Mark and Jesse on screen. Just ahead of them is the leader. Just ahead of your leader is our last car on the lead lap, the number 2 of Mike Hadley. So Hadley, with all the missing parts, I don't think it's too surprising that car's a little off the pace.
Now they're side by side in front of the leader.
Yeah, and Mike's not going to make this easy because he knows this is his chance. Granted, he could get the lucky dog again. So it's not as crucial as it's been in the past to keep in front of the leader in this scenario. But this is holding up Austin Tunney, and Mark Tunney has arrived.
And so has Jesse.
Hadley goes wide. Opportunity for Austin. This will be one of the faster cars he's tried to lap here tonight. Mark Tunney looking for opportunity. Will he go low? What lane will he follow? He's going to go with Austin.
And to update you on John Connor, that car has definitely lost time to this 3-car pack. So that 20 is struggling on the handling. And it's just now hanging on.
I mean, he drove the roof off of the thing.
He did. Can't fault him there.
John just had some contact, a little bit of contact. Door slammed with the 99 of Puckett. He's trying to claw his way through this as he's watching that timer click down. But time is running out for John Connor. As far as who's going to win this race, I could not tell you.
No?
Because we got 3 of them under a blanket, and all of them with the last name of Tunney.
Yeah, I think this is coming into its big crescendo here in the final 20 minutes, because the way that these 3 are all nose to tail now through traffic, it's literally anyone's race between this top 3, it seems.
Oh, we got one car around Sean Sinikosov getting spun, and he's near where the leaders are at. They're going to get by with no issue.
And they're stacking up the leaders.
Sean knows who spun him out. I saw him give a hand signal to that driver as he went by on the intersection, so we might see a little rivalry brew here.
Jesse on the rear bumper of Mark Tunney.
Oh, intersection, and it's the school bus.
Hit the brakes. Hit the brakes.
Got him. Wasn't a race-ending intersection hit. He's driving. I didn't notice who it was that was also in there with him.
Probably shook up the dogs though pretty good.
The unlucky dogs. That's the K9, the school bus vehicle. Cody Williams running 23rd right now. Oh, we got a rivalry between Matt Smith and Sean Sinakotoff, and this is going to really happen in front of your leader. They're having contact, and Jesse Tunney, Mark Tunney, and there are going to be some unhappy drivers about this one.
Wow, that changed the race.
I told you earlier that Sean Sinakotoff got spun out, and that Sean gave a hand signal. I don't know. I can't confirm if it was Matt Smith who did it. But when they came out of turn number 2, those two doors slammed each other, and Matt Smith is headed in the same direction. So, no, he's staying on track. I was like, if they're both going to be in the pit area, I think it's time that we had our wireless shot ready to go.
Collected in that was Jesse Tunney and Mark Tunney. Jesse had the more wild ride. He just went by. Let's see how Mark's car fared. Got to say that correctly. So Mark's car looks visually okay, but the right side of Jesse's car is chewed up and spit out.
And now the 87's going to go in. So if our drone is capable, maybe we'll get an overhead shot of the pit area. I mean, I know, it looks so good. It looks so good. Now I think again, we're at 20 minutes left to go. Let's see if we got anything queued up as far as what took place there. Here we go. There's the rivalry. All three of the Tunnies got into this. Now, what I worry about is Jesse, not only the right side damage, but he knocked that tractor tire a ways. And weren't we just talking about how John Connor's losing touch with this? Well, he almost just had all three of the cars in front of him wreck out of this.
They're all still running though, somehow, some way.
I think Jesse was very lucky right there that he didn't have any additional damage.
He's got the damage to prove it as well.
Yeah, 20 minutes to go. It ramps up from here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting now to see if the cars are still rolling good, Mark and Jesse, but it's interesting to see if something got tweaked, and maybe change the performance of those cars here in the next 15, 20 minutes.
So you see us scanning the pit. Now there's the Smith number 87. The good news is I only see Smith team members in that pit area right now.
That's true.
Good point. He and Sinakotoff are parked quite a distance from each other, so maybe this late in the game, it's a long run to get there.
There's the damage on the 57.
Yeah, so it's going to be a question whether that affected that front suspension, his car going forward.
There's the damage on Austin Tunney.
Yeah, the key thing there to look at is whether that rear hoop is pushed towards the tire. It doesn't seem like it's rubbing right now, but he's not under speed.
And I feel pretty safe to say that with that, officially every car has been involved in a wreck tonight.
Yes, check.
I think you're right.
Finish your bingo card, it's full.
That's right.
Well, this really puts Mark Tunney way back, track position-wise.
There's Sean Sinakotoff's number 15. Looks like he might be done for the night.
Yeah, and I think Hadley's going to get back on the lead lap that he just lost.
He just took it. So it's not done. John Connor's going to be restarting back up here.
Yeah, and now we need to see how the damage affects those other two. So it's going to be another thing to watch.
Here we go. 17 minutes, 47 seconds. Mark Tunney lost
a lot of time.
A lot of time, a lot of track position with that. But the battle's for the lead, door to door, slamming out of turn number 4.
Has Austin lost a little speed from that deal?
We're going to find out right now.
Yeah.
Matt Smith is still on track. He's returning with us. I feel like the car that will show us, which, by the way, John Connor's car's smoking now. These cars are just holding on to get to the finish of this race.
Yeah, it's definitely been hand-to-hand combat here the last hour or so.
You know, there's one guy who's been driving with a wrecked car for 2.5 hours. That's Mike Hadley.
He's used to it.
Off the pace majorly is Matt Smith's 87. Returning to the track is Riddle, and they kind of met in the middle and had to funnel everyone through the middle.
Yeah, Matt is very slow.
Something's wrong with that car, but he hasn't pulled off yet. Maybe he thinks Sean's on the racetrack. Where's the 15?
Mark Tunney's got to pick his way through that traffic that he's fallen behind.
And he's going to try to make some quick work of these lapped cars in front of him. That's Riddle, Artie Ware. He's going to have to quickly get through this. Now Larson was about to go through the intersection and the leaders were about to swerve to avoid, but he decided to crank it to the right, let the leaders continue on. So a nice veteran move there by Larson, knowing that the end of the race is coming up.
And it looks like Mark is just stuck. He's stuck in line, unable to get by.
He's been able to get by Logsdon so far. Well, you're right. Hasn't been able to get by. The smoke is getting heavier out of John Connor's number 20. I don't know if it's tire rub, something else. I'm trying to see what I'm smelling.
It's blue haze of smoke. That could be a motor.
Blue is bad.
Yeah, blue is bad. Could be the driver.
It's doing it in the left and the right-hand turn.
A little bit of contact there between your leader and the K9 machine. That opens the door for Jesse Tunney to get next to Austin Tunney.
And they're making contact.
Don't count Mike Hadley out of this one yet.
Not at all. Yellow, yellow, yellow.
That's probably for Doodle.
Doodle Ferris coming to a stop.
You know, we've been talking about the family rivalry with the Tunneys here off and on throughout the race. Another interesting one right now is between the 7 and the 57.
Yeah.
Austin Tunney's car is owned by Sam Breedlove. His father, Denny Breedlove, owns the 57 car. So this is a father-son battle for car ownership, bragging rights for the victory as well.
With 14 minutes to go, Troy Hughes Jr. is going to be our lucky dog in 6th place, 13 laps down. Statistically, do you think we can squeeze 13 more cautions to help him out in the next 13 minutes? I don't know if we're going to get there.
Yeah, he's running in 6th, which has been perseverance. Zach Larson in 7th, Lee Schwartz in 8th, Doodle Ferris up to 9th.
And Artie Ware just moved into 10th.
Yes, so a lot of guys that's had some issues that just persevering, filling that second half of the top 10.
And what I love about looking at this order are the drivers that you go, oh wow, like Lee Schwartz, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like when I've mentioned Lee, and this isn't a knock on him, it's just.
Yeah, Lee is a super underdog. He's got a small pit crew. He's got a very small budget. He got his career best of a 3rd place figure 8 finish during the season in just a regular 50 lapper, and here he is knocking on the door of the top 5. You know, within a few spots here in the World Championship.
You love to see it.
Yeah, barely made the race, first time in the starting field, you know, and now has just kept persevering.
13 minutes left to go in the 2023 World Figure 8 Championships. And it is going to be a showdown as the top 3 cars are all together. Green flag is out. Austin Tunney, the leader of the number 7. He leans on the 57 of Jesse Tunney, and John Connor wasn't able to fill the gap.
And Mark Tunney in the shadows of John Connor getting through most of the traffic up to that restart. That was the caution he needed.
The way that everything bunched up here, If we did get another yellow, it's going to bring Mike Hadley right into the finish of this race. He has cleared half of the lap traffic between himself and the leaders at this point.
What a long day for the two, it seems. And hanging on to the end.
It's got to re-energize you, though, having a day like Hadley's had and then being able to basically be told, hey, you know, we're in a spot right now where you're in the lead lap. You could win this.
I think once you see your number on the top 5 scoreboard, you know you got to stick in it. You got to go with it till the bitter end.
Well, the driver who's going to do everything again to prevent anybody from getting by, Austin Tunney in the number 7, has driven a couple car lengths ahead of your leader, of second place, the 57, of Jesse Tunney.
That's the smoke continues. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that smoke is only getting worse for the 20 of Connor.
You didn't interrupt me. But if you do it again, I'm wrecking you.
To the inside, Mark Tunney for third.
Battle for third through the intersection. Yeah, John Connor's cars has been lagging a little bit. He's been able to hold off Mark so far, but with 10 minutes left to go, how long does everyone stay patient?
I think the patience is just about out.
With 10 minutes to go,
yeah.
How will lap traffic play into this? Matt Smith back on the track. There are about 5 or 6 cars ahead of Austin Tunney, and it has allowed Jesse Tunney to get right up to the rear bumper of that number 7.
And they're
in
together.
the corner, here comes the 57, Jesse Tunney to the inside. Battle for the lead. Under 10 minutes to go, and they're going to shove Lockton out of the way. But that's going to cause Sizemore to hit him in the intersection. And the caution flag flies.
And the drama
Who was the leader?
The plot thickens.
It does. Who was your leader there? I showed Jesse Tunney.
Wow. This is getting down to it.
Want to thank Scott Nye for joining us as he gets ready to go. I think he's just going to go into victory lane.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
Yeah. He's probably just tired of us.
I can't believe he lasted almost 3 hours.
I know. He's got stamina.
Logsden's car.
Taking a look at the replay, the 57 sends the 42 around. And they were side by side through all that. And Sizemore with a smooch. I'll show you right here.
Romance.
Any day can be Valentine's Day.
Oh, look at that. Now we're kissing.
Wow.
That's a full makeout. You sound like you're in the tiki room right now.
Hey, they are in the tiki room. We just happen to get surveillance footage of it.
Oh, man.
Good thing they didn't get all handsy over there.
The lights are off. 8 minutes to go. Your prediction from this point.
Oh, my prediction is it's not over till literally the checkered flag ends. I don't know who's going to win, Jeffrey. I don't know how this is going to play out.
I muted you.
What'd you do? I was talking here, okay?
I'm sorry.
I guess that's payback for when I interrupted you. What I'm trying to say is I'll let you know in 7 minutes and 50 seconds.
Oh, wow. Thanks. That's a hell of a prediction. I think that we got ourselves a race on our hands. 5 cars now with no lap traffic in between them. Mike Hadley is up with your leaders, door to door for the lead. Austin Tunney has led the most laps in this race. Jesse Tunney had to fight his way through traffic to get to this point. Mark Tunney, as well as the top 3, all involved in an incident just minutes ago. John Connor's car is smoking, the roof's ripped off the car, and Mike Hadley has literally been through the shredder to get to this point tonight. But who takes home the trophy as Logsdon spins out over in turn number 3.
And as a race fan, this is the moment you all dream of. The top 5
This will be
all
a yellow.
together under a blanket.
Logsdon's in a really bad spot. We've stayed green. He's a new corner marker.
Look at the smoke pouring off the 20 at the caution wave.
Caution waves. This is going to run down the clock. Austin Tunney's like, please, no yellow.
All coming from under the hood.
That's this car's I'd say a ticking time bomb
Yeah.
right now. That motor at least is.
I guess as long as there's smoke, there's still oil. It's when the smoke goes dry, that's when you've got to, that's when you're on really borrowed time. But yeah, Jeffrey, this is what I was saying right before, or as the caution was coming out. As a race fan, this is what you want. All of the top 5 cars running for the win are all together. We have not seen that in years, between your top 5 all being on the lead lap and literally nose to tail.
I can't wait to see how these 5 minutes play out. This is going to be a doozy.
So Hugh's going to rejoin the field at the tail of the line. We saw it in qualifying how incredibly close the field was on lap times. And we're going to see it at the end of this race, how incredibly close we are to finding out who's going to win. But not just that, who in this top 5 can still avoid disaster for this victory. Any one of these top 5 runners at this point could win based off of another's mistake.
You want to give me predictions now?
No.
Okay.
I hate to be wrong sometimes.
I think the school bus is going to make it to school. It's my prediction. Green flag is back out. Austin Tunney, Jesse Tunney, 4 minutes and 40 seconds left to sort this out. John Connor got shoved wide by Mark Tunney, and that opened the door for Hadley to take over fourth.
Connor's still in the fight though. Looking to the inside of Hadley. And it is all Austin Tunney up front, Jesse in the second spot, Mark third. That's your 3 Tunneys still left running on the racetrack, with Hadley fourth and Connor smoking but running in 5th.
Connor almost got to the rear bumper of Hadley. They're coming right at you. The field that is left is side-by-side action. Hadley, John Connor. I'm starting to hear some extra backfires out there. I don't know if that's the 20.
Connor's still putting up the fight though. Connor almost cleared. Can he get it done in 1? No.
Closing in on 3 minutes to go. Austin Tunney has opened up what is now about 7 car lengths between himself and the 57 of Jesse Tunney. Intersection traffic's been working in Austin's favor. With just under 3 minutes to go, Austin does look like he's on track to catch about 4 cars of lap traffic before this race is over.
And that's exactly what Jesse wants. He needs a 7 to get into traffic at this point. And what happens when they do? 2.5 minutes to go.
Austin sees the intersection traffic. He's gonna have to survive 2 more minutes.
I don't know, Jeffrey, that lap traffic not only is still far away, but also your second spot runner, Jesse Tunney, has not really made up any time. At this point, it might be Austin's race to lose.
This is a minute and a half left in this race. Austin continues to drive away, hasn't been able to take advantage. Or Jesse hasn't been able to take advantage of some of the lap traffic, but it is going to be a stacked intersection to get to the finish of this one. There are a bunch of cars. Hadley and John Connor are in the middle of that mix. They're slamming into cars as they work through the intersection, closing in on 1 minute left to go. We talk about the history for Austin Tunney in this figure 8 race. He has a victory. But as far as he's concerned, he's like, that's the only time that I've been able to keep it up there. Well, he kept it up there again. Is the sign that if the 7 is in the running, that the 7 ends up in victory lane. He has 45 seconds left to prove it as he works through lap traffic, and Jesse is not within range yet.
His most recent big win was out at Colorado National Speedway at the Rumble in the Rockies just a few months ago. And now he leads the pinnacle of figure 8 racing. The World Championship 3-hour endurance race. 20 seconds remain. 1, possibly 2 more laps.
Austin Tunney joked with us when we talked about putting an onboard camera on his front bumper. He said, do you know what car you're looking at? It's the number 7. But he's had one of the cleanest races of anybody on track, and that's what's going to contribute as he has contact with Puckett here, and he's going to come out of the final corner. Jesse Tunney hits the gas, but it's too late. Checkered flag. Austin Tunney's going to just wreck it across the line. Oh, boy. Austin Tunney is your 2023 World Figure 8 Champion. The 47th annual amazing race at the Indianapolis Speedrome. I can't tell if this is a wreck or if everyone's congratulating, but what I do know is that this show never disappoints.
He was corners from losing that race. He got into Puckett and almost lost it himself.
I was like, please don't tell me that with this buildup.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no. I don't think John Connor's car actually made it to the finish, by the way. That thing is smoking so heavily in the infield.
Picked up a bad habit.
Oh. The 7 doing some well-deserved donuts. Austin Tunney has done it again.
I don't even know where he is.
Yeah, in a race that brought more cars and had more cars finish on the lead lap. With the lucky dog in play than ever before in history, Austin never got a break in this race. At one point was involved in a wreck. On the last lap was almost involved in another. And now you're going to get a nose-to-nose. I love how
Austin's like, I don't think there's any more gas in it.
I think the 7's having stalling issues because he needed a push earlier. Now he's going to get it from your second place finisher. How cool is this got to be, though, for the Tunney family?
Yeah.
Because not only are you in a situation, right, you're racing so hard with family, but that you can celebrate with that same family at the end of the night. And what a sight is this?
Yep. And they're making contact.
That's all. He just wanted to wreck him.
Brotherly rivalry. Well, the Tunneys add their name into the history books of the World Figure 8 Championship. And Austin Tunney writes his name in as another champion of this race.
I think he's going to need a push. He's got the checkered flag, but now he's going to need help.
This is what you can soak up the moments even more.
What I like is I got to give credit to Wes. He was like, well, I'll go walk over there then with the wireless shot.
Is that Ben right there? Fell out of the race.
It's everybody right there.
Fell out of the race and still able to congratulate in victory lane. Well, as they bring the winning car up to victory lane, it seems like they're going to try to.
I think he's going to make him push him around the whole track.
I guess it's better that this situation is happening now than minutes ago.
I mean, were we one red flag away from this having serious issues?
Well, they push the cars around to get to the grid, and they're going to push it around for their victory lap.
You know, there were at one point like 15 people pushing this car, and I'm sure all three of these guys are looking around going, what happened? What happened to everyone else?
What a race. We got life.
He waited until he got as far away from victory lane to leave his crew guys there.
Yes.
That's a big trophy.
That is a huge trophy, and it's going to the 7 team and Austin Tunney himself. Trevor, let's get ready to send it trackside for victory lane celebrations. We're going to send it down to the PA.
There you go! I think you might be a little excited, Speedrome Nation. Make some noise! Yeah! For your 2023 World Championship Figure 8 winner, Austin Teddy!
Give me your glasses. I'll clean them.
Oh, good job. Come on. It's all right. So tell us how you really feel.
To be honest with you, I don't know. It's just the 20th anniversary of my dad's win. It's awesome. Race with my brothers like this. Whoop some butt, get to rub doors, beat wheels a little bit. I apologize, Ricky Puckett, there at the end, bud. It's the last lap of the 3 hour. I'm sorry I had to go. Man, I don't even know what to say. Such a hard race. Weird how many cautions we had, but stacking it back up, getting, lap or the lucky dog, letting people get back up there. And man, there were some close calls. I banged wheels and he got hit in the back and all kinds of stuff. And I'm just surprised that I finished. That's the luck we've had this year. Been spun out probably 8 times this season. No spin outs tonight until them donuts. Yeah.
So that goes along with my first question. My first question is, was all the aggravation this season worth the payoff in the end?
It was when we did this, yeah, that's for sure. Man, it takes a lot to do this, and to keep having bad finishes and a good car, and keep coming back, keep trying. I feel this whole team deserves this. It's just awesome. Thank you.
So I got to ask you, and this came from one of your family members. So they say once you go black, you'll never go back. Well, you went white for this race. Are you going to go back to black, or are you going to stay white?
I have no clue, man. It'll be hard to go away from the white, but I've won in a black car too. I don't really care what color it is. I think I would have won this race no matter what color the car was.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for your 2023 World Figure 8 3-hour Endurance Champion!
Yes! Thank you. I got sponsors to thank, guys. I'm going to end up forgetting a few people. First and foremost, as always, someone take that water. Take that water. First and foremost, Sam Breedlove, Kim Breedlove, Denny Breedlove, whole Breedlove family and Breedlove Automotive. Awesome. Sam busts his butt on these cars all week long, and I can't thank him enough for it. Put me in this car, believing in me to keep going, and it's just a lot. They mean so much to me. They're like family. We got Edco Welding and Hydraulics. I'm going to look at the car. Kenny Mowing, APC Logistics. They're new for this last couple races. ATM Motorsports, Hoosier Aquatics Care, Auto Service, Spec Racing Engines. I'm sure he hated that burnout, and he's standing there probably staring at me. Yeah, 1-2 Spec Engines. Real good stuff. LJ Lodgings. Just anyone else I'm forgetting. THM Roofing, my father-in-law's hauled the cars. Jim's Outlaws. Don and Chris Byers. Aaron, just all the crew, Nick, everybody. This is just so awesome. We got Conley's truck repair also. My brothers, my mom, my wife, just anyone I'm forgetting, and my dad up in the sky. I love him and I miss him. Thank you.
Let's go, Steve!
Yeah!
Make some noise for Austin Tunny!
Well, Tommy, another 3-hour World Figure. Oh, I was going to cut you off. All right, World Figure 8 Championship. Austin Tunny has. I don't even know where you put that trophy.
Well, he's got 2 of them now.
Yeah, so he must have somewhere to put it.
Jeffrey, I feel like typically this race has that moment of like, wow, we've made it to 1 hour left. This race, I was surprised we even made it to an hour because we had so much happening at the start, but it never let up.
Yeah.
We had action all race long, sometimes a little too much. I was honestly starting to get worried and annoyed. Like, are we ever going to see a green flag run in this race?
Yeah.
And we did. It took a while, and we did.
You're so hard to please.
I love this race so much, and I think, to go on with that pit strategy, we saw the later pit we typically see at the hour-and-a-half mark, and Scott filling us in on the lap counter, but that's how long this race took to get.
Yeah. No, this was wild. It always is. There's a point of redundancy, but we're here to commentate on what we're seeing, and this event never fails. Like when you have this again, we had 40 competitors show up here tonight for what ended up being another phenomenal race.
Right. So I'm looking down. You probably see me doing like a bunch of face motions. So we're going to get an interview with our 57 car.
All right.
See real quick, how does it feel to watch your brother win this race?
Oh, it's awesome. We're always happy for one another. I'd like to, obviously, you've seen me stuff a nose in there, banging wheels and all that, so I wanted it too, but he did what he had to do. He was strong on the restarts. But I'm really happy for him. He had a tough season, got the track championship, and he's taking home the 3-hour. That's pretty cool. Really wanted that one. We ran the handful of us, me, Mark, Ben. Chad and Jeffrey were up there with us. They'd be there at the end. I hate it for Ben dropping out. I think he had a really fast car tonight. But a handful of us, about 6-7 drivers, run a really smart race tonight and stayed clean for that long. I think it made a really great race for the fans. And for as clean as it was till about 20 minutes to go, it just sucks to come up a little short.
Hey, Lisa, it's Tunny, 1, 2, 3. Congratulations, Jesse. Congratulations.
I just want to remind you all that at one point tonight, the 7 was hit in the intersection.
Yes, and all three, basically all of your top 5 had more than their share of action. Jeffrey, the next big race will be at Paynesville Speedway at the end of this month, September 29th and 30th weekend. Go down there and enjoy. In Ohio, go up there from here and enjoy. And we're going to sign off our coverage here, Jeffrey. We had a blast. I believe we still got more interviews coming up.
No, I think we got the word that there are no more interviews.
Oh, then no more.
We are good on interviews. Or there is another. Oh, they're going to do another interview. All right. Well, we'll send it down for another one.
I'm with the 4th place, the third runner-up, I guess you would call it, John Connor. So I got to ask you, man, the back part of your car fell off, and you still finished 4th.
Yeah, I actually thought I was trying to ride the whole race, everything. My guys kicked ass on the pit stop. I was right where I wanted to be. I don't know if the motor started to let go or what, so I was nursing it, just trying to really finish. I don't know if I had anything for the top 2, but I was sure going to give it my all.
Hey, you were tough all night. I know, especially in the last hour and a half or so. You were right up there. So.
Yeah, well, thank you. I got to thank Kevin and Audie and Rich Fenwick. They did about all the work on this car, gave me the opportunity to do it. So thank you. Hopefully we'll be back and try it again.
You got it, and I know they got that extra piece back there for you. I know they saved it for you.
Yeah, Audie probably doesn't need that. He'll be making a new one Monday.
John Connor, ladies and gentlemen.
Went terminated.
All right, Tommy. Well, that's it.
Wait, we got more.
Oh, my gosh.
We got more.
I'll take them. I'll take another interview.
Okay.
And that was a great race. You were up there. It was like I told John, you were up there all night.
I definitely had a rough one. We got collected in something and got a left rear flat early. I think it was 4, 5, 6 laps down. I don't even know. And we're about to have a baby, so I just couldn't give up. You know, I was like, oh, I'm down, but I had to keep trying. I got both front wheels knocked off. I mean, wings gone, everything. I couldn't get myself to give up tonight. So, man, I've got to thank my motor builder, John Cento. We found a problem with the one that's in it this morning. He got it taken care of, which is a rare occasion or occurrence for us. David Thompson, Two Little Bees, he helped us tremendously to run these last couple shows. My brother, Hadley Towing. We didn't know too much about this car because this is one that I'm not really fond of, but it's growing on me a little bit. That's why I actually haven't touched my normal Leaf car since the 3-hour last year. So this one was ready. We'll give it a whirl. I said it's going to go to battle this morning, and it's going to have to learn how to go to war, and I'll tell you, it did.
Well, it got you 5th place in the World Championship. That's not too shabby at all.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Kevin Garrigus, Jordan, I'm literally having a blank right. Jacob, all the track officials, fans, everybody. This is a hell of a show.
Congratulations on the new baby. Mike Hadley, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody here.
We got shots. Jeffrey, you can take a shot of celebratory.
I'll hold the shot. Cheers.
Here, hang on.
Are you,
Let's film this occasion. Sorry, Austin Tunney.
I'm not. Is this cough syrup?
It might be.
I don't know if.
Does Jonathan have one?
He should. He should have mine. Here. You can. No, I was gonna say I don't drink. So. Oh, okay. Well, that makes 2 of us.
Hang on. Let me get this.
Henry was double fisting the.
Yeah, he was on the plane.
Here he comes. Here he comes. There we go. There we go.
Now,
this was our producer tonight, Kurt.
It's Jonathan.
And
Bird
Jonathan, he's drinking on the job. So
here, we got our leader camera.
Leader cam.
Got to give a wave. He can't drink.
He can't drink.
But he can at least wave.
But you can be on the shot here.
There he is.
And yeah, with all of our crew that we had here tonight, Joe over in the corner, he's walking over here. Wes downstairs. This is our drone flyer, Henry. And like we said, the entire staff of the Indianapolis Speedrome for everything that they do to not only put on this event, but a continued great schedule throughout the year. If you haven't been to the Speedrome, you have to make it out here, and this is not a bad event for you to do it in. And everyone's got their shot, so what do we say? Like, what is there a thing to?
Congrats to Austin Tunney, but congrats to another 47th edition of the World Figure 8 Championship. Cheers, all.
Cheers. Thank you for watching.
And with that, everybody, Jonathan, I know you got some words here. You grab the microphone. Probably.
I just wanted to say, incredible job tonight. What an incredible race it was. We had just a night of mayhem, but masterful driving as well. And so when you see that type of thing, it always makes my heart. I mean, this is my I'm 47. It's my 41st 3-hour being around it, okay? And they keep getting better every year. It's my favorite race of the year. It's great to have you guys always here for this event, and it means a lot to have all the fans watching, and it means so much to everybody that you guys support the Speedrome, and we appreciate you guys coming out. You make my life a lot easier on a 3-hour weekend. You take care of a lot of things for me, so thank you very much. And we're going to have an even better broadcast on speedrome.tv when we edit it down with all the in-cars. It'll be awesome. The pit stuff was great tonight. The drone footage, you have to say, that changes everything when it comes to a broadcast.
Yeah.
That is the closest thing. Television never does justice of figure 8 racing.
Right.
Drones bring figure 8 racing to the fans and what it really, really stands for. So I just want to come on. Thank you guys so much as well.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys coming out, and 364 days to the next one.
We did it. The countdown begins. Great job, like we said, to you and all of your guys' staff. And always thanks for having us out here.
Absolutely appreciate, and We still have more racing here at the Speedrome, here on Speedrome.tv the rest of the year. And don't forget the Winter Storm Series coming up in February. 8 days, 3 big races in Florida, and that will all be broadcast on Speedrome.tv as well.
All righty, folks. Well, we'll see you for that one. And that's going to be a wrap here tonight. We made it 3 hours, only one red flag, and that's going to be a wrap here as Austin Tunney celebrates in victory lane with all. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
I'm still muted.
This is the greatest ending.
I think Jonathan is right. We do make his life a lot easier. And he just shuts us up whenever he pleases.
That's right. He deserves it. All right, folks. Good night from the Speedrome. We'll see you next year for more 3-hour action.